Okay, I am here. I'm live. Give me a moment here, just setting some things up. I had to step out of the house, which is why I'm a few minutes late. Friend bought a house and they wanted to celebrate, so I went to go get food, and then they didn't want to go into the restaurant that we went to, so I couldn't get the food that I went there to eat very quickly and say hi, so I had to go somewhere else to get food, and so that delayed things. But anyways, I'm here now. I'm gonna go on camera in a second here. Just give me a moment. You guys should be able to hear me. Should be able to. Yeah, you guys can hear me, right? You guys can hear me, and you'll be able to see me in a moment. Okay. One moment here. One moment. Alright, let me put the camera on. Cool. As soon as I find my camera. Alright, there we go. Hold on a second. The lighting's wrong. I know why the lighting's wrong. I know why. I know it looks completely different, right? I usually have these like purpley lights on. You can see how behind I was today, and then the camera is not the position I want. That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna be changing the set in a bit, like a week or so. Gonna be staying at another location. My hair is a mess. It's always a mess. Who cares? And yeah, so I realized that when I first came to this spot here, this set was meant to be a temporary set, and it is a temporary set, so we're gonna get another set soon that will also be another temporary set. But a lot of things have happened this last year that have changed the direction of where life is headed and where we're going. But anyways, set's gonna change soon, but then that set will for sure only be a thing for 2 to 4 months, and then hopefully then we'll have a more permanent set. Basically, I'm talking about me getting my own place, and that just may take a couple extra months, so we'll see. Anyway, where are we at here? I'm now like looking at the camera like, Jesus, because there's like conditioner in there, but it's like straight and whatever, man. It is what it is. All right, so let's talk about Zelda. That's what we're doing. Okay. Hello there, Game Walkthroughs. Hello there, Jaden. Hello there, DE Fox. Hello there, Leo Aguiar. Hello there, Astro YT. Samuel Williams. You can hear. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Having Hope 5. Hello. Joycey J. Hello. That Zelda Copium, here we go. Sephiroth, no game on the TV today. Just because I didn't have it set up. That's literally it. That's the only reason. Hello there, Merrick. Okay, this is a good question, or a good idea, thing to kind of open up this conversation with. So Merrick says, I don't understand why there is such a hesitation to cover the leaks. It's weird. It's out there. Everyone can download it. All right, so let's talk about that to open things up. And for those watching, we're not going to talk spoilers tonight, okay? I will say this. I mentioned on the community post today that I am planning a comprehensive analysis of this leak, but it's going to be a single video, okay? I want to have it out by tomorrow because I'm crazy. I don't know how I'm going to get it out by tomorrow, to be totally honest with you. If I want to do this justice, I probably should work on it for a little bit longer, but I'm trying to have like content come out every day. So it's either A, find a way to get it out tomorrow, even though there may not be enough hours in the day to do it, or have something else smaller come out tomorrow, and then Saturday give myself a little bit more time to complete this video. But it is coming really soon. I'll figure that out. Don't worry about it. But there is I am planning a single comprehensive analysis of the art book leak. But anyways, to the point. All other videos are not going to have spoilers. All streams are not going to have spoilers, because there are people who don't want to be spoiled. I'm going to respect that. And to answer your question, Merrick, it's nuanced, because it is strange, right? Because we talk about rumors, we talk about leaks on the channel. Why is this different? And in part, it's different because of how, as a whole, we've reacted to it, right? When I saw it, no, I was one of the first people to talk, like to put out a video on it, like immediately. I was like, oh, this is it, okay? And I just kind of put out my quick thoughts, like, you know, within the hour. And I knew from when I saw it, okay, this is something I have to be careful about. And basically, it's something that you'll notice no Zelda YouTubers are talking about. And so, from one angle, it really impacts the theory side of things, because when it comes to Zelda, there's a lot of theories. I do theory videos, a lot of people do theory videos, and some people see this art book leak that's not supposed to come until once the game is out. And there are details in there that are kind of significant, and now a lot of Zelda fans who don't want to be spoiled are very concerned. So they're just, a whole bunch are just straight up not watching videos and things of that nature, right? So like, especially for channels that focus mostly on Zelda, how do you handle a situation where a big chunk of your audience does not want to watch out of fear of spoilers? So, and that's new. There's a lot of different angles to this, right? So, but just focusing on the theorizing part of things first. Part of that is, on one hand, right, if you're a YouTuber, right, and if it's your job, you want to respect your audience because they are your viewership. You need your viewership. But on the other, simply respecting those people that watch your videos, and you want to respect their wishes. You don't want to disrespect them. You don't want to alienate them. So if you're constantly putting in spoilers in all your videos without warning, that impacts things, right? And a lot of people are just unsubscribing, and that's it. They're just not paying attention to Zelda videos until Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Like, there's a lot of that. So especially for Zelda YouTubers, I'm not a Zelda YouTuber. I'm a Nintendo YouTuber. Although Zelda is like definitely like a huge part of the channel, right? It's their entire thing. So a lot of them have taken like a very same stance, where we're not going to talk to spoilers. We're just going to focus on theory videos. But some people feel like, well, okay, those theory videos are impacted by the spoilers, right? So you could argue, well, just talk about the spoilers. So it's nuanced in that way, but also Nintendo may start claiming this. There may be strikes. We've heard that they're not happy about this. It's not good, and some people are just the fact that the leak even happened is just kind of upsetting for a lot of people. And in one regard, you could argue that just talking about the leaks is sort of giving the leak more credence, giving it more validity, and disrespecting those who've been working behind the scenes with this game and the promotion and all of that. So there's layers, and I can continue on about this. But anyways, for me, right, how I decided to handle it, because I speculate, I theorize, we always talk about rumors and leaks. There are occasions where we don't. So here's another example, and you'll actually find that if you go back and check that I've been treating this about the same as Pokemon leaks. So what I mean is, yeah, there's rumors and leaks leading up to release all the time. We talk about that. There's going to be rumors about this game. We're going to talk about those as long as they're rumors. But the fact that this is an art book that we 100% know is legit, it's straight up a 100% true, legitimate leak, no debate at all. It's a little different. It's a little different. And then, but with going back to the Pokemon situation, we'll talk about rumors and leaks about Pokemon sometimes too. Not as much because we don't talk about Pokemon such as Zelda on this channel, but you know, we still do. But when it comes to right before the games comes out and the data mines happen and someone like steals the game or gets the game weeks early somehow, and then they go through all the code and they reveal all the Pokemon after Pokemon Company has and Game Freak, like, they've been working so hard to only reveal like maybe like 10 out of like 100 new Pokemon, and they want to keep it a secret for people until the game comes out, and then it's all leaked. We don't talk about that. Like we might have a single video or like a single stream where we make mention of it and spoilers will be said, but beyond that we don't talk about that. So if you think about it from that way, the way I'm handling it's actually very similar. So I announced the leak last Sunday. I had a few words on it from some quick things I saw, and after taking some time, seeing how Nintendo was reacting to it, seeing if they were going to be copyright striking people, seeing what other people's opinions on it were, I've decided, okay, I'm going to kind of stick to a similar thing. There's going to be a single video and I'm going to try and make it good, where I will analyze and put out my thoughts on it, and that will be that. And I hope that Nintendo has an announcement or something where the information from that art book becomes not as relevant, and then things will kind of return back to a norm. But there'll still be theory videos. Like, we'll still do theory videos, and my goal will simply be to only provide evidence, only take evidence from things that are public or rumors that are outside of that, or like ignore the art book leak for every theory video moving forward, like pretend it doesn't exist. And my goal will be to just, you know, make them as good as possible, right? Like if you saw my dungeon video for Monday, that's basically, if you see that, that's kind of how I'm going to handle theory videos moving forward, excluding this one analysis for the art book leak that will very clearly be marked and labeled, so you will understand that it contains the art book spoilers. So it's not going to be confusing, and anyone else who wants to watch things outside of that, you can, because no other video will contain it, so there will be no risk by clicking on any of my other videos. You'll know. I'll make it clear, and there's not going to be any confusion whatsoever. D Foxy vote Saturday for leak video. Maybe it'll come out Saturday. Jesse, take your time for the video, please. I might. Merrick, I don't think that Nintendo will put out an art book which spoils the entire game with you haven't played. I think the art book is just a very small reflection of the game. I agree. It is. But there are still some details in there that have significant ramifications, that show off things that Nintendo has been incredibly secretive about, that they're clearly going to save for some sort of reveal at some point. And so the art book does take away from that, and some people don't want that to be spoiled. I do agree, though, that I think that some people may think the art book is worse than it is in terms of leaking the contents of the game. That said, it's still leaking some things, some significant, I would say some significant things. And, you know, I personally would have preferred if I just found this stuff out from Nintendo. Like, that's just me. But yes, I do think it's being overblown a little bit, but still, if you're trying to avoid spoilers, then this is spoilers. I see Zelda Geeks Apprentice has joined Legends Plus as a member. Thank you for joining, Zelda Geeks Apprentice. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Very much appreciated. I will say, for members, you know, you're featured in credits. You can suggest topics. If you're looking for advice, you can just reach out to me. You're also eligible for call-in segments as well. I may have a call-in segment today, actually, where you can kind of join the podcast for a little bit, or a live stream. Let me just double-check to see. Because I think Samuel was asking. I don't know if he... Okay, yeah, so Samuel will be there. Messaging him now. Maybe. Alright. Aaron Curdy with the super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, Aaron. Aaron says, been enjoying the videos lately. Thanks, man. Oh, no, thank you for watching. I'm very appreciative that you watch it. I'm glad you enjoy them. You know, I enjoy doing this, so I will keep at it. Alright. Kevin, Nintendo should just release the game early due to the leak. Wink, wink. Hopefully. But no, that's not gonna happen. Joy CJ, we also have to remember that whatever is in the art book doesn't mean it'll make it in the game. That's another good point. Art books sometimes have concepts and ideas that don't always show there, but they're part of the, you know, the lead up to the release of the game, or to the development of the game. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm scatterbrained right now. This happens a lot right before a live stream. Usually, I'm so busy with something else right before a live stream that I'm not like ready. But we'll be fine. Jay and Drysdale, thoughts on the possibility of different difficulties in Tears of the Kingdom? All right, that's cool. That's a good one. So you can tell that I got pizza because I got soda with it. Anyway, so I don't think that there's going to be. Well, that's tough because Master Mode is in Breath of the Wild. That's a coin toss. That's a coin toss. Honestly, I'm not sure, right? Like I'll say this. I think that because of the existence of Master Mode that they added, and they added it early too, I think that there definitely should be some sort of challenge mode, more challenging difficulty there. Even if they don't call it Master Mode, maybe they call it Hero Mode. Something like that should be there. Now, the thing about Master Mode is that it does kind of remix the game a little, because they add the platforms with the chests, and obviously the enemies, they're just giant sponges with regenerating life. I personally would hope that if they do have another difficulty, that it isn't just straight up, let's just make it harder to kill the enemies because they take more damage and regenerate. I would hope it's a little different. What would be really cool is if they could give us a DLC that was like a Master Quest. So for those who don't know what Master Quest is, Master Quest came out with, I want to say there was a Zelda collection back on the GameCube, and yeah, my brain might be a little off on this, but they did give us the Master Quest in the 3DS remake as well. But anyways, it was this alternative way to play Ocarina of Time, where it was a little bit harder, but it was mostly harder because the dungeons were all remixed, like the puzzles were changed around a bit, and there were some weird things about it. It made it fun, it made it interesting. So it'd be really cool if they could give us a Master Quest where, yeah, maybe it is double damage from enemies. Maybe that's there, but it's also like the dungeons are just remixed a bit. That would make it kind of fun. And it would give more reason to kind of play through the game. So I would really like that. I think that would be really fun, really cool. But anyways, to kind of go back to like this idea of a Tears of the Kingdom difficulty, I think there's definitely an increased chance that we have a selectable difficulty from day one because they gave us Master Mode. Granted, it was through DLC, but maybe that's kind of creates a new standard. So hopefully we get that, right? It's kind of like, I'm trying to think. I want to say the first time we got Hero Mode was Wind Waker HD, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Skyward Sword didn't have a Hero Mode no. I think it did. I think Skyward Sword had a Hero Mode, but you had to beat the game to unlock it. Or was that Wind Waker HD? I'm Googling right now. Hero Mode. Yeah, the Skyward Sword had a Hero Mode. It was something so okay, this is actually better. So Skyward Sword introduced a Hero Mode, but it came at the end of the game. And then starting with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, you could pick the Hero Mode from early on, from the beginning. So that's what I'm kind of getting at, that they first gave us Hero Mode with Skyward Sword, then afterwards we saw with some Zelda remasters, that they allowed it from the beginning. Now, once we got the next actual new Zelda, Breath of the Wild, they didn't have a difficulty from the beginning like that, but the game is also entirely different from previous Zeldas, and Breath of the Wild is, in a lot of ways, way more challenging than previous Zeldas, but it does depend on how you play it. So, it's a little different, but just considering that history of how they introduced Hero Mode first, and then subsequent Zelda games had increased difficulty and difficulty options, I think that with the advent of Master Mode, it is possible that maybe we see something like that. If not from the beginning, it's maybe like a second quest, like something that remixes the game, like a like a new game plus sort of deal. That all said, because Tears of the Kingdom is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, I also think that it's going to be structured similar in the sense that depending on how you choose to play the game, it could be harder or easier, right? Like if you want to fight those giant Gleeoks, go for it. If you want to run away and keep your distance until you have way more powerful armor and gear, go for it. You can choose how to play. If you want to craft weapons and vehicles that make it easier for you to traverse, go for it. If you want to just, go commando, and by commando, I mean like in just your underwear, and, well, okay, I know it's a little different, but anyways, but run around with just like that and just brave through the environment with like next to nothing, that'll be a lot harder. And you can choose to kind of explore the world and accomplish all the tasks at your own pace. So, like Breath of the Wild, you can make Tears of the Kingdom really challenging, or you can make it really easy. I'm personally expecting that Tears of the Kingdom will be different from Breath of the Wild in the sense that you won't be able to go to the end of the game right from the beginning. So that part might be a little different, just because I think there may be some things you have to do. Although maybe it's still possible, it's just extremely hard. Maybe that will still be the case. We'll see. But anyways, yeah, I envision it's going to be like that. But I'll add another wrinkle here that I think is worth bringing up. I still feel that while I do think that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be like Breath of the Wild in the sense that how you play it, you can make it easy or difficult depending on how you choose to explore the world and handle things. But I also feel that because it is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, and a lot of people feel a bit more accustomed to that, and also because there is a more darker theme to this game, a little bit more of an intense theme, I think they will try and match that energy, and the overall game will have more challenge than Breath of the Wild. That's kind of what my expectations are. Alright, so I saw that I got a few updates to Super Chats, so let me check those real quick here. Zelda's Geek Apprentice with a Super Chat. Thank you very much for the Super Chat. It's super appreciated. Zelda's Geek Apprentice says, I've heard about Re4 Remake actually coming to the Switch, and I heard you was a big fan. If you could answer, what's your thoughts on the Re4 Remake? So I am a huge fan of Resident Evil 4. That is 100% correct. And I did not hear about that rumor, but I haven't been paying attention to Resident Evil 4. I've been too focused on Nintendo to really worry about anything else right now. But if Resident Evil 4 is coming to the Switch, that'd be amazing. Let me see. Let me Google that real quick. How, like, is this a rumor? Is this a report? Resident Evil 4 Remake Switch? Question mark. Alright, this is an article from October. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I don't know about that. Nintendo Switch users will have to content themselves with their... No. There are currently no plans, but is there a rumor is what I want to try and find out. I could see Resident Evil 4 Remake being ported over to Nintendo's next system, which is expected to come out next year. I could see that. The stream being bad. It looks okay. That's what I could see. But that said, you know, I love that this game, from what I've seen, I haven't paid that much attention, but from what I've seen, it seems like this game's a little bit more true to the original than the prior remakes, which makes sense because the prior remakes needed to basically completely overhaul the gameplay, while the initial Resident Evil 4 is kind of like what set the trend for future Resident Evil games afterwards. Like, that gameplay style of the original Resident Evil 4, they've kind of maintained since. Now, obviously, it's changed and been adapted, and they've gone in more horror directions and slowed some things down, but like the overall, like, over-the-shoulder style of gameplay, like, that has kind of maintained since Resident Evil 4. So there's not as many changes, but visually it looks incredible. Then there are some changes. I definitely, you know, it's something that I am probably going to pick up at some point. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I enjoyed, what is it? I say enjoyed, but I forget the name. Resident Evil Village. Yeah, I played through Village, and I like that one a lot. I didn't play the DLC, though. So, Boss Pie with a super chat as well. Thank you very much for the super chat, Boss Pie. Boss Pie says, didn't like Breath of the Wild, just doesn't feel like a Zelda experience to me for some reason. Hot take, I know, but it was boring to me. Hoping Tears of the Kingdom fixes this. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a hot take, right? Not everyone feels that way. Breath of the Wild is the most popular Zelda game of all time. So, you know, there's that. But I will say that I do think that Tears of the Kingdom is going to have more elements that will feel like previous Zelda games. I absolutely do think that. And the reason I think that is because we're seeing evidence of it. So, for example, we are seeing that Ganondorf has returned. And if it's not Ganondorf, it's someone like a Ganondorf, right? And the reason why this is important for what I'm saying right now is because it's bringing in an actual personality for the Nemesis. And this is harkening back to previous Zelda games. And assuming it's Ganondorf with him back, you can have this rivalry, this relationship between Link and Ganondorf build up. Heck, we see with the most recent trailer that Link and Ganondorf kind of duke it out early on. And then he gets hurt, and then we assume he's resuscitated in the sky, and then Zelda says, hey, I don't think you can beat him this time. That sort of sets up that there is this very powerful foe that is far stronger than Link, so it creates stakes, it creates an underdog story, and that kind of goes back to, like, Ocarina of Time, for example. So having this relationship, there's that, but also because Ganondorf is coming back, and because Zelda's in question, and with Link and on all his efforts, it's also suggesting that maybe there could be kind of like, see, the stream is not looking pretty right now. Is it still being weird? Okay. Looks like it was just a temporary thing. Alright, anyways. Yeah, so with Link, Ganondorf, and Zelda, there's like this idea that maybe we may see the return of the Triforce. Triforce of Courage, Triforce of Power, Triforce of Wisdom within each of these characters, not just one giant Triforce at the end, like in Breath of the Wild. So that's kind of like another Zelda trope returning. And it goes beyond that, because we've seen that the Master Sword has been destroyed. Master Sword has been damaged in prior games, and it looks like there's going to be a quest to restore the Master Sword. This is a trope we've seen in previous Zelda games as well. So we got that going for us. And if you take a look at the trailer where they gave us a title, where they show the character on the monument, I refer to the Bunny Zonai, right? There's like these 7 orb circles that look like tears. The number 7 is important in Zelda because there are the 7 sages. And this could all be hinting at 7 keys or 7 temples or dungeons or whatever that could restore the Master Sword. That's kind of like the theory. And that I feel like it's a solid theory. So that kind of is hinting that it's like at another returning trope. The sage is coming back. This effort to restore the Master Sword, like similar to the Wind Waker, similar to Skyward Sword, similar to like at the 4. You know, there's even some of the 2D Zeldas, they also like power up the sword as well. So that's kind of returning too. We've seen the Redeads are making a return. That's pretty cool. There's little signs, and I also think we're going to be seeing like actual traditional dungeons. They're going to feel different, but they'll feel more like dungeons compared to what we saw with the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild. So I think we're gonna see that. So yeah, there's different things like this that I think are gonna help the game to feel a little bit more like previous Zelda games. And I think another element that maybe took away a bit from Breath of the Wild is that because they were doing so much to make the world so large and have all these shrines, a lot of them felt a little repetitive, right? Or a very samey. So with Tears of the Kingdom, given that it's a sequel building off of that as a foundation, with all these years of development, they'll have more of an opportunity to make it dense with content and variety, and I think that will help as well. So that may mean more varied dungeons with unique themes and motifs, and more unique bosses. Those are some of the things that I felt were kind of lacking in Breath of the Wild that sort of turns some people off from it who prefer the previous Zeldas. So yeah, I feel pretty good that Tears of the Kingdom is gonna, if there's a spectrum, it's gonna feel a little bit more like previous Zeldas, but still kind of move forward and evolve the open air style of gameplay. Continue on here. I see Having Hope 5 has upgraded their membership to Legends Plus as well. Thank you very much, Having Hope. That is super appreciated. I love that you've been around all this time, and thank you for continuing to be a member. That's super appreciated, buddy. Thank you. DE Fox, scalpers are going after Prime Remastered physical copies. That's interesting. I did not know. I haven't heard about that. I have heard that it's been really hard for people to get their copies. For one reason or another, it seems like there's been delays for the Amazon orders. People aren't finding them in stores. I wonder if it's because they're selling out really quickly, or if it has more to do with limited supply because they didn't expect to send that much, and they just kind of announced the game 2 weeks ago, so not all stores are ready. It might have something to do with that. It may have to do with them kind of rushing this out the door. So that's kind of my take on that. But if it's more to it than that, if there's scalpers involved, thinking it's a really rare, popular thing, that may have something to do with it too. Okay. Just looking through the chat here, I'm trying to catch up. Okay. Divine Zenith Calamity Mode, that would be a good one. Netweed09. You know, I actually just did it. Went to see the Tears of the Kingdom art book images. And oh my word, I'm happy with what I've seen so far. Well, okay, I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm glad you were happy about it. Yeah, I just don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Moving on here. Good evening, Charles Trudeau. How are you? J Biggs, aka Big Jink, or JNYC. Great debate with Nate. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, so for those who may not know what Jay is referring to, I just put out a video a few hours ago where I put up a graphics debate about Metroid Prime Remastered with Nintendo Prime. So basically, yesterday on Twitter, Nate from Nintendo Prime added me and told me that after playing Prime Remastered finally for several hours, he doesn't think the game is that impressive. Like, he thinks it looks good, but he doesn't think it's like that impressive. But I think it's that impressive, and I feel a lot of people kind of share that sentiment that Prime Remastered is one of the most impressive games on Switch. I was arguing that it's like a top 5 game, and he's saying that it's not really anything that wows him. He just thinks it's okay, like it's good, but it's nothing mind-blowing. But I when I play Prime Remastered, I'm like surprised at how good they got that game to look. So yeah, check it out. I would definitely appreciate it after the stream. Okay, so I'll be careful about my wording here with this because of spoilers, but I'm gonna read this. Merrick, did the leaks change your hype level? Without going into leaks, just overall, how do you feel about it? I feel so much better now, and the $70 are easy money, even $150 would be. So no, they didn't change my opinion at all about the game. But keep in mind, I've been high on Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I think Tears of the Kingdom is going to be good. If anything, I would say the most recent official trailer got me hyped, got me excited. I still believe Nintendo's holding back a lot. I still think that this is going to be something crazy. You know, I think they've given us enough evidence to suggest great, incredible things. But I also think that they're trying to be really quiet, not share that much about this game. And I think they're just really confident about how good this game is. But I also understand the narrative that some people may see, because this is a sequel, they're not talking about it. So there may be a fear that maybe Nintendo's just holding back on telling us a lot, because the game's going to feel too similar to Breath of the Wild. And you know, I think there could be some truth to that, actually. Not in the sense that I think the game isn't going to be a big deal, but just in the sense that, well, yeah, I mean, why spoil the game? You know, why reveal these details? Because Breath of the Wild does exist, and this is kind of hindsight, right? Like me thinking on it now, because in the past I was like, yeah, for sure we need more information, and we still do need more information, but we will get it. But what I'm getting at here is that because Breath of the Wild exists, and it's a known thing, most popular Zelda ever, it's kind of, people kind of know what to expect with Tears of the Kingdom to an extent, as opposed to Breath of the Wild. Like, Breath of the Wild was definitely far more of a shock to the world. Tears of the Kingdom, I don't want to say it's more of the same, but it's more of that style, that open-air gameplay style. So there's less that they need to say for Tears of the Kingdom as compared to with Breath of the Wild. Also, launch of the Switch, there was other reasons why they need to talk more about that game. But there's another element here, and I think it's just, why does this do this? Updates the computer just change stuff, and I hate it. Anyway, oh, by the way, I see about 100 people are watching, which is awesome. Thank you guys for being here. If you could like the stream, that will definitely help out the stream so more people could see it. Please like it. It would be super, super appreciated, guys. But anyway, where was I? I was talking about, right, so just kind of like the excitement and just being quiet about the game. You know, I think we've seen that with Nintendo, they've been doing things in a strange way. Like, for example, Metroid Prime Remastered. It's strange because they just shadow dropped that. Like, you would think something like that would have gotten marketed with, you know, ahead of time. Like, kind of like how they handled Dread. Like, Dread was their most popular game. Like, it was their most talked about game at E3. Like, they had a developer diary. They had all these website updates with like bi-weekly or bi-monthly updates, and they were continually talking about it through social media and advertisements. Like, they did a lot to market Dread, and the game did well. It sold about 3 million, which is pretty good. It's a record number for the Metroid series. So people are of the expectation that they'd probably do something for Metroid Prime Remastered, especially given that how impressive it looks. Like, this is not like just a simple thing. It is a big deal. It's arguably one of the best looking games on Switch, right? So you would think that they would have done more, yet instead they announced it randomly without much attention or build up, and it's $40 and just it's out there. And they announced the physical version to come out 2 weeks later, which has come out yesterday. And the weird thing about the physical release is that we're seeing a lot of people are unable to get it. Now, the first thought is, oh, that's because everyone's buying it. It's super popular. Or maybe they just didn't send that many copies. Or they kind of rushed it out the door. There's other nuance here, but anyways, the reason I bring up Prime Remaster is because it seems like it's doing well, and the way they've done this is by shadow dropping it without talking about it or marketing it at all until it was already out to the public. So you look at a situation like that, and maybe Prime Remastered goes on to be the best-selling Metroid. We will see. Only time will really tell. Maybe it'll be a flop. We'll see. But so far, so good, it seems, because it's top of the eShop charts. It was near the top of the Amazon charts. People can't get it for some reason. Shipments are delayed. Like, it really seems like a lot of people want this game. But anyways, we've seen that Nintendo is kind of doing things in a way that seems unorthodox. And it feels like they're doing the same thing for Tears of the Kingdom. Like, why are they being so quiet? It may work to their benefit. The same way the Shadow Drop seems to be working to the benefit of Prime Remastered, the science about Tears of the Kingdom may work to the benefit of this game as well. It's almost like people are talking about it more because of how quiet they are. It's unconventional, and it's kind of making people scratch their heads. I don't know. Maybe Nintendo's are just geniuses at marketing nowadays. It's interesting. Once upon a time, Nintendo was kind of infamous for relying on this special type of marketing that they would talk about, which is called word of mouth. It was something they talked about a lot back in the day, like the GameCube era and stuff. Because there would always be questions like, hey, why don't you market your games where you might perform better? And they're like, well, we believe in word of mouth. We think, you play the game, people talk about it, more people will get it. Nowadays, that's a far more significant factor because of social media, Twitch, things like that, where people just share gameplay and be like, oh my god, I can't believe you do that in Breath of the Wild. And people see that, they think it's hype, they think it's cool, more people share that. And then other people are like, oh yeah, I saw you do those cool things in Breath of the Wild, and they pick up the game, and then they start sharing, and it's a kind of a cycle. It's like a trickle-down effect. Word of mouth, but digitally. So, yeah, I think, anyways, I know I'm kind of tangenting here, but I just think that Nintendo has done a great job of really keeping us on our toes about what's going on. It's strange, but I think their weird marketing style is going to work out for them. Now, the $70 thing, and that's a situation where I didn't like it when I saw it. I don't care for myself personally, because like I would spend, oftentimes for multiple Zelda releases, I've bought 2 copies. So, and like I remember for when the Switch came out with Breath of the Wild, I got the Switch, I got Breath of the Wild, but I got the special edition with all the amiibo. I spent a lot of money on that, more than I needed to, but I was all about it. So, I'll spend $10 more. And, if you take inflation into account, all these different things, Tears of the Kingdom being the most expensive Nintendo game to date, like, if there's any game that could have that kind of asking price, it's Tears of the Kingdom. And people complain, oh, but yeah, Nintendo prices don't drop down, they always hold such a high value. They do. But you know what? They can hold that value because people still buy them at that value. So, I mean, the market dictates it, really. If people don't buy Tears of the Kingdom, then they'll probably drop the price eventually. So you look at games like on Sony and Microsoft, they drop price all the time because games don't sell as well on those platforms, not individually. So that's just kind of how it works. And if they do sell well, it's because they drop the price a lot. So it's different, but it's fine. The market dictates the situation, basically. Guy you don't know, Adamy, hey there, hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay, fighting through it, grinding every day. So there's a new RE4 trailer. I'll have to check out that trailer, Zelda's Geek Apprentice. Thanks for pointing that out for me. NetWeed09, you think you might know a latter year release, Astral Chain 2. That would be good. Now, Bayonetta just came out. Are we really going to get Astral Chain so soon? I mean, I think it could be different studios within Platinum. So, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just skeptical. But that would be a solid release for the second half of the year. I think it would do well. Like, if it's ready, go for it. Go for it. Giancarlo, you think the Switch successor will come out in 2026? That would be nuts. If it takes that long, Alright, thank you DW for Smash. Thank you Zelda's Geek Apprentice for letting me know the stream still looks great. I appreciate that. Alright, let's see here. Let's see here. Kevin D. Tears of the Kingdom looks like a straight-up Link to the Past remake. Your personal favorite Zelda, with the underworld potential being like the Dark World. That's interesting. I see it as a little different, although I like the thinking on it. And I did see some theories about the underground being the underworld. Like, it's not just underground, it's like hell, or some, not maybe not hell per se, but something like that, like a place where the demons come from, right? It's interesting. And if that's kind of like Ganondorf's world, the underworld, his kingdom, I kind of like the idea of it. Now, what they do with that we'll kind of touch on a bit. I'm gonna see if I can catch up to the chat real quick here. All right, I think I'm mostly caught up. I'm sure you guys have a lot of cool ideas in the chat. I agree, Merrick. Metroid Prime 4 will be one of the best games on Switch. Let's see here. Colin Snow. Know that Microsoft and Nintendo are butting up. Do you think they're now that Microsoft and Nintendo are butting up, do you think there might be a COD Zelda crossover? Perhaps Master Sword is a melee weapon for COD and date in 14. I could see a scenario where the Master Sword is like a miniature Master Sword as a dagger in COD. That would be neat. I don't see COD anything being in Zelda, but I could see it go the other way around. Like, remember with Skyrim on Switch, there was the Master Sword and the shield and the Champion's Tunic were in the game. So I could see that. And they did that with Bayonetta as well, with a few different Nintendo characters. So it wouldn't be the first time that we saw well, I don't want to... Bayonetta's not really third party per se, but we've seen... It used to be. Well, I mean, it wasn't even on Nintendo systems. But anyway, the point is that we've seen games that aren't like internally made Nintendo games or third party games kind of get some of this like Nintendo cosmetics added to it. And then if they want to have a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of fanfare, just kind of hype things up a bit when they announce Call of Duty for Switch, yeah, I could see. I actually wouldn't be shocked if they did have an accessory or two like that. Like, I could kind of see that. I'm not going to say like for sure, but yeah, it doesn't seem like a big stretch. Yeah, Joey CJ. I'm assuming that we're getting a lot of game for that $70. Having Hope 5. You were hesitant with the $70 price, but now you're so high up, it's definitely worth the money. Cool. Robert Powell. What do you think of the chances of Zelda being playable? Perhaps in an underground segment that contrasts Link in the overworld and sky. So I've definitely had challenges about this, and I definitely want to get to a video on this at some point. I'm personally not. Let me rephrase. I am not necessarily against Zelda being playable, but how it's handled, I think, is tricky. And I think it's tricky because I don't think you can just kind of make it where Zelda is like another Link that controls all the same weapons and stuff. Like, that's not what she does. She is not a warrior. She's a princess or a scholar. That's what she is. Or the goddess. Like, she's stuff, but she's not a warrior. So if they make her playable, she can't do the same things. But that's also where the challenge comes in. Because, at least with Breath of the Wild, and I would say likely also Tears of the Kingdom, a big part of the game is going to be about doing things in your own way, freely, being very open. And if you have moments where you're playable as Zelda, You don't really get that. However, it's a little different if you can freely change between Link and Zelda seamlessly. Because at that point, if you want to have the options that Link has, which is the full open air experience and being able to fight and traverse and jump and climb and do all these things, as long as you can switch back to Link at any point, that makes sense within the context of what we're expecting the gameplay to be. But otherwise, I find it odd, because Zelda won't be able to do the same things as Link. She probably won't be able to climb like Link. She probably won't be able to jump like Link, or I mean, maybe she can use a paraglider. Like, I mean, she can't. She probably should be. They could make her a little athletic though. Like they could do that, and it has been some time since Breath of the Wild, so maybe she spends some time kind of building herself up. So maybe she could have some options. You know, the options would be different, but maybe she could have some options. We do see that Nintendo released that artwork where Zelda's holding a new form of a Sheikah Slate. What if they give her the original Sheikah Slate powers? Like, they're not outside the game, they're still in the game, but they're playable as Zelda. That would be super interesting. So maybe at some point in the game you could unlock it where Zelda can explore part of the world, and you can kind of choose between them. Or maybe it's something like you can play together, or I'll go another step that may be kind of crazy. Sorry, the Pepsi gas is coming up and attacking me. What if this is not a new idea, but I'm kind of coming at it again because maybe. What if Zelda is playable, but only playable through cooperative play? Basically, co-op. You can play co-op. That would be cool. I would actually not be necessarily against that. Although, I think we technically know that the game is only one player. I think we go to the Tears of the Kingdom website. It tells us that it's only one player. Of course, does that account for online stuff? Or watch this say, hey, look, just lie on the ESRB or something. I'm looking at the Tears of the Kingdom website to see if there's anything there that kind of hints at this. Here, let me kind of show you guys real quick. It'll be this window, right? Well, let's see. Can you guys still see it on this side? No, that's my stream, so that's not what I wanted. There we go. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything here? I think it would be on the other website, actually. Just says E10 for everyone. Gold points. There's actually it's probably on the ESRB site. That's probably where it says that it's there. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see, it might be here. ESRB Tears of the Kingdom. Because I thought I saw that it says it's single player at some point. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so alright, the ESRB doesn't seem to say it. So that's good news. If we're hoping for maybe like some sort of multiplayer, it's not impossible. See, this doesn't show it at all, but this is an old image. let me check Nintendo's website, because that might say something a little different. Nintendo Tears of the Kingdom, because that what we were just on was the Zelda website. It doesn't show the same details. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it technically says it's one player. Look, let me show you. So here it says number of players, single system, parenthetical 1. That means one player on one system. So there, that idea is dashed. I'll have to give up on it. Move on. Yeah, so probably not. But I checked. So the only way I guess it would work for Zelda to be playable is you just control her alternatively to Link. And we've seen games where we've done this before, like in Wind Waker when you control Medley or Maker in the dungeons. You can control them briefly. They have their own powers briefly, but it can be done. So maybe Zelda can be controlled briefly at times too. But you'll always be able to go back to Link whenever you want. That way you still have that full accessibility to the world and the freedom. So, I don't know. I'm not going to completely outrule it. Because Nintendo is aware that there is definitely a lot of people who want to see Zelda playable. And showing that she just kind of falls down a hole, in some ways, could be a fake out. They may want us to think that she won't be accessible throughout the game, but actually it's going to turn out that she will be. And so we'll see, because typically Zelda is not someone that we can kind of talk to or play with really that much throughout the course of most of the games. So maybe it's a fake out. Or maybe it's them showing why she won't be around for this story, because she falls somewhere. But yeah, it would suggest maybe she has underground gameplay or something, though, if she is playable. NetWeedo9, Ancient Cistern Basement. This is going back to the whole Underworld idea, right? Or Dark World. Jordan Fish. I think it's more like the whole game is an alternate world. Yeah. Yeah, there was like a demon world or like... So the idea of the Ancient Cistern, it's kind of playing off the idea of like the heavens, the surface world, and the underworld. So yeah, we could be revisiting that idea, but across. You have the heavens, the skies, you have the surface, and you have the underworld. But in actual the whole game is that, and that'd be kind of cool. Like if it's more than just underground stuff and like it's like an underworld. That'd be neat. We have seen caves and stuff, so you know maybe there's layers to this. Maybe the underworld is under the underground. You know, like what if there's 4 layers? What if there's idea? What if instead of there being 3 layers, there's actually 5? So think about this for a second. We got the surface, we got the skies, we got the underground. But what if under the underground, like, so we see the cave systems, right? The subterranean. What if under that is the underworld? As opposed to it just being 1, it's 2 layers. Caves, underworld. But then, going back to the skies, what if there's some place above the skies? What if there's space? So, I don't know if it's actually space, but what if there's a realm even higher? That would be cool. We have seen that the Sky Islands go really high up, way higher than what we can see when we're already extremely high from the footage we've seen. So it may not even be the case that like the underground or the underworld are layers, but it's just kind of like it can get deep, right? It's not like, oh, okay, here's 1 layer, there you go. It could get deep, and there may be layers, right, where it's just kind of like how on the surface it's not just 1 flat plane, right? Because there are towers and buildings and mountains and hills that all have different elevations. So in the skies, there are different islands at different elevations, and if you get there's a top wherever that is, it's extremely high. And the same could apply to the underground. Maybe the first parts of the underground are more cavey, but then as you get further down, you see more mushrooms and and malice puddles, and it starts to exhibit this theme of not just the underground, but the underworld. That's what I think makes more sense. It's not 5 layers per se, but each layer has a lot there. There's layers within the layers is probably maybe a more confusing way to describe it, but there's gonna be a lot there. A lot of verticality or depth. I don't know what's going on, but I'm seeing that Kukola is saying Soul Calibur 2, and Soul Calibur 2 is like one of the best fighting games ever, so yes. Yes, exactly. AB James, it seems like it could be a mix of both the Dark World from Ocarina of Time and the Twilight Realm for Twilight Princess, as well as it being its own new thing for Tears of the Kingdom, the Underworld. Moving through the chat here. Canned TM. Do we think we'll get any Triforce lore in Tears of the Kingdom? I'd love to see more story focused on the Triforce, but I'm guessing there won't be. Earlier, I actually kind of talked about it. I think that maybe yes. Because we're seeing Ganondorf return, and there seems to be a huge focus on Ganondorf. That may bring back the Triforce of Power. Zelda seems to be split off from Link in some way. And the Sheikah have always protected the royal family. They're represented by Blue, Triforce of Wisdom. So I think there's something there. And then Link is being powered by the green energy, the Zonai energy. So I think there's something there that can definitely be related to maybe the Triforce of Courage, the Kokiri, stuff like that. I think there could be something there. Jess Beholder has joined Legends. Thank you for joining as a member. That is super, super appreciated. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. And actually, thank you for reminding me. Members are eligible for call-in segments during the live streams, and Samuel was I had Samuel scheduled for a call-in segment today, so we'll see if he can come in soon. Checking in on that. Giancarlo. There's a Tears of the Kingdom survey that states that Link and Zelda must work together. You would have to show me. I saw a survey the other day, and I read through it. I personally didn't think it really told us much, but I know some people are really excited about it. Yeah. Joyce J. And then Samus is found in space. She's the 8th heroine. There's our Metroid Prime 4 reference. Giancarlo, Legend of Zelda Space Odyssey. There you go. Yeah, Jesse Beholder. Maybe like heaven and hell. So, going back to this idea of the layers. Like, what, you know, we've seen parts of the underground already, right? And it seems like, I don't entirely disagree with this underworld idea. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense. The heaven and hell, that duality. But I kind of like the idea of there being a point you can get to that is beyond, like you can get deeper and deeper into the underground or the underworld, and there's a point you reach that is special, hard to get to, that's very challenging, and that kind of excites me, because think of it like this: what if there are points in the sky that are so high up that part of the challenge is finding a way to get up there, and there's something up there that's crazy, and the same goes for the bottom as well. There are some things down below that are very hard to get to. But if you find a way to get down there, there's an incredible reward, and they're really crazy to find. That would be cool. Like, what if there are a few divine dragons that we've seen from Breath of the Wild? We've seen evidence of at least one in Tears of the Kingdom that might be different, we're not sure. But what if there's like maybe, I'm purely spitballing here. What if there's like a divine dragon that is the father of all divine dragons, and you can find this extra large, extra special, extra ancient divine dragon all the way in the sky? Or what if one of the Leviathans is in the sky? We've seen flying whales before. It ain't anything new to Zelda. What if there's another one up there somewhere? How cool would that be? And it would be, maybe there's like lore that it's like such a special Leviathan. Heck, what if it's a dungeon? All right. Think about this. It's kind of combining ideas here. So imagine this scenario where there is a Leviathan, and Leviathan is a giant whale. And we've seen a few giant whales in previous Zelda games, like Jabu Jabu. And you may get where I'm going with this. It's not just like Leviathan, like the flying whales, but also like Jabu Jabu. And what I mean is, what if there is a giant flying Leviathan, a giant whale with wings, in the air, and you can go inside of him, and he is a dungeon. Like Jabu Jabu in the water in Ocarina of Time, except this time it's a far bigger whale that can fly, like in Skyward Sword, and also a link between Link's Awakening. But you go, it's an air dungeon, but it's so high up. Maybe like the lore with this one is that you have to get high up enough, and you don't always see it. You have to find it at the right time, because it's actually something that flies around the planet. How cool would that be? Like, you have to get so high up that it's something that is like at the very tippity top of the atmosphere, where it's like almost in space but not quite, so you can kind of see space because you're that high up into the atmosphere, and it's a dungeon. Like, I'm throwing out ideas here, but I'm kind of excited about it. It seems like a really cool idea, so I'm like, oh man, what if they did this? I see Midnight Naomi has maintained their membership for 13 months of Legends Plus. Thank you for maintaining your membership. It's super appreciated. Naomi says, Andres, just stopped in to use my milestone chat and say great content lately, man. Looking forward to May, and I hope to get to play Tears of the Kingdom at PAX. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I get to play Tears of the Kingdom at PAX. I am hoping that I can go to PAX. I may have that sort of situated, and maybe there'll be some early Tears of the Kingdom gameplay to show you guys that I will be playing and recording. So, fingers crossed. Alright, let's see here. Alright, I'm just catching up with the chat. I'm focusing on ads for now. Let's see here. Devin Lyons, you're wondering if Ages will have a comeback. I think they will, based off the title trailer where they show the 7 tiers. Josh Coleman, 1 year later and you still haven't played Elden Ring. You're right, I haven't. It's been a busy year. First, I was working a job that had me work 60 plus hours. I still try to maintain the channel. Then I started doing YouTube full-time effort. And we're growing. We're getting close. You know, I'm not saying I can do this full-time forever, but I have a lot of hope. Charles Trudell, it's not impossible that the Zelda universe and Metro universe are the same, actually. Even Star Fox. I mean, there's theories that Mario is also part of the same world. Joy CJ, still not ruling out the Zelda falling is either a dream or time travel related. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. Josh Coleman, there are some high-res screenshots, and there is a blue dragon, I believe Nadra, in plain sight, smack dab in the middle. Yeah, there's this one shot. I have it on my computer. I can show you. Apparently when I just... Oh yeah, I saved it as Divine Dragon Proof. Look. There's a slap it on there. Yeah, it's right there. That's it. I literally just put it right in front of my camera. But if I can even sort of zoom in, right? I mean, that's a dragon. It looks kind of like Nadra, but there's like yellow, and Nadra doesn't have yellow. So I wonder if it's either a different kind of dragon, something on there There's something weird about the yellow part. But yeah, there are dragons in the sky. We know that for a fact. Yep, right there. Jordan Fish, something I was thinking about is, will there be a fast restart option from falling off an island? You wouldn't want to just fall to Earth and have to reload. Interesting point. Well, let me ask you this. What happens when you fall down a mountain in Breath of the Wild? Is there a way to get back up? If there's a shrine or an earlier save, there are several save files, so you know it may be the case that the game will save whenever you land on an island, and you can just go back to one of those saves, because Breath of the Wild did have multiple saves, so that may be how it works. Nishquick pops, the father of all divine dragons is Alear. There you go. That's it. Alear from Fire Emblem. She's also, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is just this massive crossover game. It's got Fire Emblem in there. It's got Metroid in there. There's mushrooms in the underworld. So obviously Mario's there and Toad. You know, and then Donkey Kong is somewhere in the jungle, probably in the Faron region, eating some bananas. Like, yeah, everyone is there. Actually, Farosh is actually Pikachu, given that it lets off electricity. Ooh, Uriah. Yeah. Uriah from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like one of the most beautiful locations ever. And it is also a giant whale. PRDXLDRM. What if Link and Zelda have to exchange materials from the surface sky to the underground, and vice versa, to help each other and upgrade their abilities / Sheikah Slate? A single-player co-op game. Yeah, I mean, there could be something to that. I did theorize that the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom, I'm not sure if it's the dungeons or the shrine replacements, but there will be challenges that I believe will be related to connecting the sky to the surface and to the underworld, or the down below. A lot of the gameplay, I think, is going to be about continually building links between the underground, the surface, and the sky. I know some people kind of debate that, like, there are some island shots that, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. Let me see here. Probably not looking at the right one. It's probably not this one. It's not that one. That was the number 1 file. Is it this one that I have? Something tells me it's neither. It's a whole other one. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think it's the one that I titled Moon. I'm just thinking of, I may show you that shot later, actually. This is the one. There we go. I titled this TOTK Moon Island on my computer. So, yeah. So if you look at this image, some cool stuff here. We could talk about crafting, but we'll talk about that later. What I'm getting at here, there's so much to talk about, but you look at the bottom, the right side of the screen, you'll see these like weird lines. Some speculate that could be water, maybe coming down, like waterfalls. And I guess it's possible. That's quite a lot of water coming down. I interpreted it as like maybe like kind of like malice, potentially, or some sort of gaseous link to the surface and maybe under. And anyways, I sort of the overall point here is that I think they could be hinting at some sort of connection to below. They could be. Yeah, I'm not sure it's water because like the one on the most far right seems to be going very, very far down. Like, would water still be visible from that far out, just going down like that, and would it look that dark? I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I'm gonna stick with my theory for now that it's somehow hinting at some sort of connection to under these islands, be it the surface or even the underworld. Now, we were talking earlier about how the islands go extremely high up. Look how high we are in this shot, right? Link is flying around, and he's in the clouds. Link is in the clouds, so this might even be taller than Death Mountain, which is like, I think, the highest point in... Well, Heber Mountain might be a little higher, but he looks like he's taller than those mountains, right? But then you look at those islands just beyond what it's not actually the moon, but that giant circular object in the sky. Like, you look above that, there's a whole bunch of islands that just go up vertically. And actually, even when you look to the right, there's a whole bunch of islands. The top right of the screen, there's also a whole bunch of islands that just go all the way up as well. We have no idea how high this gets. We haven't the slightest clue. And it's just kind of crazy how high you can get in this game. Like, what if there is space? You know, like I remember when we first saw the very, very first teaser, and we saw Hyrule Castle was starting to rise. There were jokes or theories that we would go to space. And while Hyrule Castle has not gone that high, the islands themselves, they are going so high up. I honestly... Yeah, I'm gonna make a theory video out of this. I feel like, I mean, I'll need to get more material first, but I think there's something to this idea. I really do. I think there's something to this idea. I'm not saying that, like, we're gonna build a rocket. Oh, what if we could build a rocket ship? Maybe I am saying we could build a rocket ship. Maybe I'm that crazy. I mean, hear me out. Just hear me out for a second, guys. I know, this may seem like some stupid shit I'm on right now, but just hear me out. Look how high we go. Like, if this was the real world, and we were already in the clouds, and you see structures that go so high up you can't even see them. Granted, they're off screen, but it looks like they're kind of fading off because of how high they are. Like, how much higher do you have to get before, you know, you're almost in space, right? And you look at this shot right here where we've built a hovercraft, or like whatever you want to call it. Like, what if you can build something that takes you almost into space? That would be cool. Also, I will go back to how I mentioned that island that's a giant orb looks like a mini moon. We're making jokes about going to space, but there's a moon right there. So, you know, what if we could, I don't know. I think there's going to be something. There's something to this idea, I think, of how high we can go. How is the limit going to be? Like where do they stop us when it comes to getting higher in the sky? Will it just eventually just be done in a way where we just get to the highest island in the sky? We get there, and there's no way to really jump. And maybe it's the case that any flying items just can't fly higher than that, and that's it. It may be as simple as that. Maybe that's all it is. But I'm gonna dare to speculate that they're gonna do something interesting with this. Obviously, I don't think you can just go into space forever and it's just infinite gameplay, but there may be something to just kind of what I'm hoping for here is that we get to a point where the gameplay can arguably change. Maybe gravity gets a little lighter because you're starting to escape the velocity, or not. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to get to escape velocity. What I really meant was, like, maybe there's a point where the gravity doesn't pull you down as high, right? Maybe things become a little more floaty. It gets colder. Like, how cool would that be? You can see the stars because you're just like that high up. Just, you know, some ideas I'm throwing out there. Let me come back to the camera. Let's see what you guys have to say about my stupid idea. Emilio Martinez, I think Link might get a scuba diving gear attached to his Zora suit hat so that we could... Oh, that would actually be really cool to explore underwater. I actually really like that idea. That would be nice. I think that's actually pretty believable. Yeah, I see it. Hello there, Anthony Smith. Having Hope 5. What if we rode on a Leviathan to get to other Sky Islands? I mean, there may be a lot of alternative ways to explore. Why not? If there's a giant Leviathan just flying around the planet, what if you can hitch a ride? I love the idea. Let's do it. Like, I'm down. Maybe the Zelda team is too. Cooldown. Do you think we'll be able to challenge Ganon right away after the tutorial? I really wonder how much of this game is required to beat it. That is an interesting question. I kind of touched on it earlier. I don't know, you know? Because we can see Hyrule Cat. I mean, I said I was going to show you guys this image. I'll show you right now. It's relevant. It's relevant. Link looking out in this. There we go. Let me show you guys this image here. Yeah, so you look at this shot here. That is not the shot I want to show you. That is the wrong shot. That is the wrong one. My bad. Still looks cool though. You can see the desert really far off. There's a lot of ocean you can see, it looks like. Maybe? Or is it just so high up you can't even see that far? But that's I shared the wrong image. Yeah, Link. Yeah, I see. I gave you the wrong one. It's this one. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, this is the image I wanted to share. Again, we see some of those items just going way high up, and we can't even... Like, just see what... This may be one of the best shots to get a good, easy understanding of how high up we are. Because if you look to the rightmost part of the screen, you see the mouse erupting from Death Mountain. You can see that. And you can see how much higher you are than it. So you're a little bit higher. And then you can still see islands far off in the background that are way above what we can even see. Anyways, notice Hyrule Castle in the middle. Right, so that's where we're kind of coming back to. Like, it's right there. And given how high we are, I have a hard time believing that we can't just fly there. But I am going to speculate that there is some sort of hurdle. There is some sort of hurdle. Either we assume that Gandalf is inside the castle. But what if he's not inside the castle? I think that's something else that's worth considering. Like, we assume that he is in the castle because we see it rise up and we think, oh, it's kind of like Ganon's castle. But what if he's the king of the underworld? What if he's just way down below and this giant mouse eruption is just kind of like maybe a big entrance to the underworld? And he's far down below. What if he's at the very bottom core of the earth kind of thing, you know? What if that's where the fight actually happens? I think it's an option. It's definitely not my first thought, right? My first thought is that Ganondorf is inside the castle. So, if he is in the castle, there's a lot of different ideas with this, right? Like, okay, we've already explored Hyrule Castle. How has it changed since before? Because it might be kind of boring to just have us explore the same area, right? Like, how are they going to remix that, change it around? Maybe Maybe it's had a lot of redesigns. Maybe Ganondorf changes it a lot somehow with magic. Or maybe it is remixed, but it's not really where he's at. Maybe he is truly somewhere else, you know? It's tough to say. But anyway, like, yeah, so will we be able to go to Ganondorf immediately? For a long while, I've assumed that in this game, you won't be able to just go straight to the end of the game in the beginning. And I think that this may still be the case, but it could go either way. But, you know, when I think about it, Breath of the Wild, that's kind of it's like a unique thing to Breath of the Wild. There's very few games you could just rush to the end like that. And maybe they want to go with that degree of openness again. But my theory is that that's not the case. My theory is that you can't just go there. I think that they kind of went in that direction for Breath of the Wild because they really wanted to focus on that freedom to do things however you choose. And I think this game will be slightly more limiting in the sense that it might have a little bit more of a linear gameplay, where the end of the game requires more effort to get to the end of the game, basically. And we've seen the signs of those 7 tiers. You may have to collect the 7 tiers before you can even get there. And so this is kind of my theory on it. And you know, it's a theory. It's not even, I think we need more evidence before I could like say convincingly this is how it's going to work. But I feel, especially when you take a look at how thick and potent that malice is around Hyrule Castle, that malice is what's going to stop you from getting there. Either A, Ganondorf is inside the castle waiting, or B, the castle's just there above it and the actual portal of Ganondorf is under, right? And you have to go through all that malice to get there. Either way, whether Ganondorf is like through a whole bunch of dense malice at the core of the earth or the core of the underworld or in Hyrule Castle, for wherever that is, there will be a great deal of malice holding you back. So I think that basically you may need to acquire the 7 tiers in order to find a way to get there. And I actually, now the more I think about it, I think this holds some weight, because clearly there's a lot of malice coming from inside of the earth of Hyrule. Like, just look at Death Mountain, the malice is coming out of there. So maybe, like, there's so much thick malice you can't even get to Ganondorf. Potentially you can't even get to Zelda because she fell down a hole or something, and it's all about kind of getting to her and Ganondorf. And what you have to do is go around different parts of the map and slowly break down the malice. Break down the 7 tiers. Or, ooh, this is another interesting idea. So, what if Ganondorf is Voldemort? In the sense that there's like 7 Horcruxes. I mean, it's been described that he's like a Licht or something like that, where he might have like 7 things around the world that keep him alive. What do you have to destroy them? And every time you destroy them, you're kind of breaking down the malice barrier. And once you break all 7, via the power of the sages or what have you, you can get to the core of where he's at, be it Hyrule Castle or somewhere else. So, I think there's something to that. Of course, it also could just be he is there, and you can try and fight him, but you'll probably get destroyed. But the way it works is simply every time you get a tier, you power up the Master Sword or something, and that's how it works. There's 7, and once you get all 7, you're good to go. Like, it could be something as simple as that, and then maybe there's like a whole bunch of like shrines or, you know, shrine replacements that basically just function as ways to improve your hearts and stamina again. And it could be that simple. I kind of hope it's the way the former, what I just suggested, as opposed to the other one, because the other one would be basically just like Breath of the Wild 2, which is this is what it is. It's the sequel, so you know. But I don't need, basically I just don't think we need to be able to go to the end at the end at the very beginning of the game, because Breath of the Wild already did that. If you want something like that, play Breath of the Wild. This is Tears of the Kingdom. It's a different game. But we'll see what they do. this off for a bit. All right. Merrick, let me ask you directly. Do you think that we'll use the map north of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom maybe as DLC? It's so big if you look at it. Yeah, I mean, there's so much map there that we can see off into the distance. Like, it's just begging to be explored, right? I have no idea. Like, I wish I could tell you with some, like, conviction that that would be disingenuous. I've had theories that, like, what if, like, the borders are expanded, and I mean, at some point they got to stop you, right? Or they don't. This is my theory. My theory, it's not really a theory, it's more like an idea that I think would be cool. Is like, what if the boundaries of Hyrule, you can go there and they're effectively endless, but it's like a mini game where the further out you go, the more enemies you have to fight, the worse the weather gets, the harder it is to progress, and it's almost maybe like a built-in horde mode in the game. Like, the further out you go into the plains, the mountains, they're kind of randomly generated, so it's nothing like crazy, but it's just kind of like something that's like, oh, okay, I'm exploring more land, and then more and more enemies come at you because it's like this crazy wild that's dangerous. And eventually you're gonna die because it'll get increasingly harder, and you'll run out of resources eventually and lose. But the further out you get, the more resources you can get, and that'll be pretty much it. Like, the reward is the items and treasure and rupees you get from going that far out. And if you think about it, they can do that in different directions. They can even do that in the sea as well, except instead of it being land monsters, it'll be tsunamis and vortexes and giant krakens. So, you know, and sharks, like, that would be fun. I would love it if they did something like that. And it would be a great way to kind of make the world feel infinite, but actually contain it, you know, in a fun way. Now, could they just basically create more map? Sure, but at some point they have to cut it off. At some point, you know? So that's why I kind of like my idea, where it's a little bit more than that. It goes a little bit beyond. So, I don't know. It's tough. Because if they expand, how far out do they go, you know? Because they already have created these natural barriers already. They created this giant chasm for the north and the west. You have the desert in the south, and you have the ocean to the east. Like, those are the natural barriers for the world. So if they let you go beyond that, at least with the east and the west, where there's actually land beyond the chasm and you can actually walk there and do stuff, when do they stop it? You know, like, where do they just eventually say, hey, that's it, no more? They'll just build a wall that you can't climb? These things, you know, like, that's kind of the strange part. So I personally love my idea. It is my idea, so I'm biased, but I feel like it would make the world feel a little bit more believable. My gut fear, and it's just kind of, I only think this just because of how most games are, it'll eventually just say, it'll just either it'll just, if you try, you'll just die or fall down and reset, or it'll just turn you around and say it's too dangerous to go that far. Like something simple like that. But fingers crossed, it's more my idea. On the note of DLC, though, I think that they will have DLC, and it'll be kind of like a more extensive quest. And I think at that point, it's just a new area. Just a new area altogether. It would be cool if it's maybe like an area that appears maybe on the water, and you can sail there. You can literally just straight up go there. And maybe you could have things in the sky as well. There could be new sky islands there. It's just kind of something that shows up. It's like it just comes out of the water. It's like an ancient civilization, and that could be like its own story, you know? Like, there could be like a special like water people or spirit people there or something like that, and that would be its own thing, and that's it. But it could maybe have connections to Hyrule, and that would be the DLC. Like, they could do something like that. I think it'd be cool. Like an Atlantis kind of thing. That I actually think would be really fun. Jesse Beholder. If we keep getting really deep, seeing creatures like demons or something. Like, I mean, if you could argue the Bokoblins and the Lionels are sort of demon-like, but not quite. But, you know, with more malice, it may even get better. Josh Cohen, have the leaked art pages increased your hype levels? No, they haven't, just because I've always been excited. Joy CJ, Ravioli's Gale. There you go. I love the ravioli. I thought you were joking. Ravioli, that was a happy accident. Ravioli's Gale, just the pasta just flies into the air and you gotta catch it. Yeah, I mean, Rivali is intentionally kind of a dick, but he can do some cool stuff. Like, he's definitely capable. Alright, so I know we're talking about Zelda, but I said I would talk a little about Metroid as well. So I'm going to take a few minutes here to talk about Metroid. So we've talked a little about like structure of like how Tears of the Kingdom work. Metroid Prime 4 is obviously further out. We don't know as much about that game. But, you know, I envision... I guess I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on... Because I'm probably going to make a video on this at some point. But just kind of like how the game should be structured. Should it be basically like just like a bigger, better version of Prime, where it's this big interwoven world? Or should it be multiple planets like Prime 3? Or should it be like open world? Where there's giant open spaces that you walk around. I think that it should basically be a larger, improved version of the world of Metroid Prime, basically. Like, pick a planet, single planet, the mission's on a single planet, and it's a big planet with lots of cool areas, and they're all interwoven, like Metroid Prime, or like maybe like a Dark Souls is also a great example. And that's how I should play Elden Ring. Gotta see how they... Playing Elden Ring might be really... Okay, now I have more reason. Now I have more reason to play Elden Ring, because Elden Ring has a lot of Metroidvania-like quality. I mean, the Soul series has a lot of Metroidvania-like quality, so going to play Elden Ring and seeing how they transition to open world, I think will be important for that. So I'm going to take a look at that. Going to. But anyway, I don't know how they handle that. I'm about to play the game to find out. But, I just don't think an open world would be the best idea for Metroid Prime 4. Because the Metroid gameplay is about finding a power-up, an ability, and then having that moment where, like, oh, I can use this ability elsewhere. And then you go elsewhere and you're able to progress in that way. So, I would imagine they'd have to build on that, right? Now, you could make the argument that Zelda also was like that, where, oh, I finally have a power-up, now I can go elsewhere. It was kind of like that. It was similar. Not quite the same, but there's something to that. So you can argue, well, you know, maybe they should rethink how they handle Metroid. Maybe. Like, I would have to think more on it, but I think with the probably the best course of action is just make a bigger, better interwoven world of like, you know, kind of based off Talon 4, but it's its own thing, its own planet with its own unique areas, and just make it easier to explore in the sense that there are fast travel points, like in Metroid Prime. When there's an area in the map that you want to go to, you have to just go there. There's no fast traveling. Granted, the map's not that big, so, you know, you can get to pretty much everywhere relatively quick. It take a few minutes, but if you're running through without fighting and you know where you're going and it's unlocked already, it doesn't take that long. But I mean, it can be a little taxing. It can be a bit of a journey, especially if you don't know the right shortcuts. So having fast travel points makes sense, especially if the world in Metroid Prime 4 is bigger, which it almost certainly will be. So when I say fast travel, I would mean basically like maybe you can travel between save stations. You can portal between save stations or portal between elevators. One or the other or both. And I think that could make it could modernize the Metroidvania style of the Prime games a little bit more, like, because I think you should still maintain that gameplay of backtracking, but done in a way that is not frustrating. So if you can fast travel, that kind of like that annoying part where you have to go through stuff you've already explored, you can bypass that. But also, because if you do it within sections, right, because there's not save stations literally in every room or elevators literally in every room, so you'll still have to do some exploration in a particular area. That would make sense because there was a lot of backtracking in Metroid Prime that they wanted, because kind of going back to some areas, you could see how they would be remixed and redone. Like, so for example, you explore the Chozo ruins early on in Metroid Prime, but you leave them, and after a while you come back. And you come back to them and you find, I don't want to spoil it for those who are playing the game, but there are like, there's something else there that is dangerous and mysterious, and it's kind of teasing something beyond what you've already seen in the ruins, and you come to find there's actually an even deeper layer to the Chozo ruins, and that's really cool. So you find that there's more than what you thought was there. And it was just interesting because you first start in areas that you had already explored, but there's something else there that changes it up a bit, and that makes it more fun, and it makes it more fun to revisit with your new abilities and see what else you can do. So I think they should maintain that, but just on a larger scale, but still nicely interwoven with nicely placed fast travel points. That way, when you do backtrack, it's basically backtracking through areas that have been remixed that are fun, but not backtracking through the whole map, so it's like repetitive and boring and annoying. And I think that's probably the safest way they can go with Prime 4. And I realize that safe may sometimes sound like a bad thing, but I think in this scenario it would be a good thing. It's not like Zelda where we've been getting Zeldas all the time. Metroid is making a comeback, and Metroid Prime is great. Just improve upon that formula. That formula does work. Just make it more accessible, make it better. And again, accessible doesn't mean necessarily easier. Maybe easier in some ways, so people play the game more, but there can still be that challenge. Just get rid of the frustrating parts. Like, a game can be challenging without being frustrating. There is a happy balance that can be found. Let me take a look here at the chat. Perk 30 asks, what do you mean when you say interwoven? That's a fantastic question. So when I say interwoven, okay, these are my fingers, right? They're crossed. So what I'm getting at is, like, so let's say you're in one location. I don't know if you know all the areas in Metroid Prime, right? But let's say you're in Chozo ruins, and there's a part in Chozo ruins that can take you to Magmore Caverns. But there's another part of the Chozo ruins that can take you to Phendrana Drifts, or Phazon Mines, or the Talon Overworld. And so each area has a connection to the other area. And they all do. There's a way to get to each area from each other area. It's smartly created where you can find connections to the other areas. And that's kind of how it's just basically constructed in a way where you can smartly find ways to find, like, secret paths or tunnels that lead to these other parts of the world. And they're just mixed, they're just put together in a way, constructed together in a way that's interwoven. And it basically just makes it easier to kind of go through these areas. And it's I guess, like, interwoven has, like, a positive connotation, because it can be done in a way that's really weird and frustrating, but it can also be done in a way that's, like, really satisfying and cool. Like, you may be exploring a part of the map and you come back to it, but now you have more powers or abilities, and there's, like, this area you couldn't quite traverse before, but now that you can, you check it out, and you realize it's actually a shortcut to another part of the map that's actually a pain to get to otherwise. And when you go there, you can see another part of that area that you had not seen before, and it reveals a new power-up or a new ability or some other story sequence. So that's kind of what I'm getting at there. Let's see. Squid on added me. Is it possible that Retro would use smaller areas to help the game run better? In an ideal world, the areas would be much bigger and more open and run phenomenally well anyhow. I don't know. I don't... Like... I mean, how big do you need the areas to be? You know, because I would say that there are some pretty big rooms in Metroid Prime. It's not all just hallways with small little cubes of rooms. Like, there are some big semi-sprawling areas. Now, they're not like saying that you need a giant, that there's a giant field or a lake that you have to run across or swim across, because then that wouldn't make any sense because you're Samus. But, you know, they could maybe go a little bit bigger, and they could bring back some different powers Samus had. Like, they could bring back the speed booster. So in the 2D Metroid games, there's the speed boosters. Basically, you can kind of run, and when you start running, you have like a jetpack. So you start like basically kind of move like the Flash, but in one straight direction for a little bit. That could be something they could do, and that could allow you to kind of speed through. Or, as we've seen in some games where Samus has a connection to the natural life around, like there could be some animals that find Samus really peaceful. Maybe you could use them as mounts, like space horses or something, or space bears that you can just kind of run across, but only in brief moments. Like, I think they could do something like that to kind of help out with, let's say, bigger areas. But they, again, like if you play Metroid Prime Remastered, there are areas in the map that are there are some rooms that have some size to them. They're not like it's not all small. You do see moments, and I have to go back and play Prime 2 and 3 because it's been such a long time, especially for those. But those games also kind of expanded on the scope a bit more too. So Prime 4, I think they can get away with expanding on it more. Although personally, I hope that, sure, expand on the scope a bit, but I don't think it has to be significantly more vast. I think that I would hope they focus more on, like, just interactivity with the world, actually, like just being able to do different cool things within the environment and interacting with creatures and things. And yeah, have some slightly larger areas for sure, but maintain the level of graphics we saw in Prime with more interaction, maybe still slightly improved visuals with slightly more scope, nicer vistas, and still maintain that smooth 60 FPS at a high resolution. Like, I don't think that's actually impossible. I think that is within the realm of possibility for Switch. So I think it'd be really nice. Squid on Anatomy. Backtracking is a really good way to raise the chances that someone will scan things and pay more attention to the little details. That's true. Like, if they still have scanning and you want to find more things, more pieces of lore, learn more about the wildlife or just structures, when you revisit them, it's more opportunities to scan. I see Greg Plays Games says, I want to like the stream, but it's at 69 right now. It's now at 73, so that's not possible. But I appreciate the humor. Anyways, I do see about 150 are watching. That's amazing. We're at 73 likes. It's pretty good. Can we get to 100 likes? It's possible. It's definitely possible. So if you guys could like the stream, whoever hasn't yet, that'd be super appreciated. Someone said cookies? I would love to have cookies. Now I want cookies. Oh, that's right. I have a cinnamon roll. I'll have that after the stream. Guy you don't know, added me. I can see Prime 4 going back to basics with one interconnected map, but utilizing modern tech to make exploration more seamless and satisfying than ever for a revitalized experience. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we're on the same page there. I feel like some of the things I talked about, like having a very smartly designed world that's interconnected, interwoven, and those fast travel points between either elevators and or save points, but also something else on the map have markers. So if you go to a part of the world and you're like, oh, there's some power up there that I can't get yet, I hope the game allows you to mark that so you know, oh, there's something there that I want to come back to at some point in the game, And there you go. Like, little things like that I think will make a big difference. And if there are some larger areas, and they give Samus more maneuverability options, like bringing back the speed booster, maybe bringing back the screw attack, so you can basically run around and fly around. If she can ride her ship temporarily, or just, you know, just different structures in the environment that allow you to ride around things, or maybe like that theory I had, maybe there could be some alien mounts you could run, but just for brief moments in slightly larger areas. But it would still be about. I mean, honestly, I'm okay. The more I think about it, I'm okay with there being some semi-large, open-ish areas. Like, it's still a Metroidvania. Honestly, if some of you have played Dark Souls, you think you know what I mean. Like, Dark Souls has some larger areas that take some movement, take some time to traverse across. But it's effectively just a larger version of like Metroid Prime exploration. And they can have that if they want to have different things going on there. I'm okay with that, as long as they can get it to run well, which I don't think is impossible. Like, if you're not doing open world, I think it's honestly a fairly reasonable expectation. But we'll see what they do. Squid on. When I say bigger areas, I mean like something on level of Skytown and Metroid Prime 3 or certain areas of Brio. I'm sure Prime 4 will blow us away anyhow. Yeah, the thing about Skytown is that it's like platforms that are interconnected by rails. So it's not like a giant area you can, like, there's a lot you can look out to see. It gives an illusion of vast size, but there's not like that much actual traversable map to explore in Skytown. I don't remember, like, I know of Brio. I just don't remember how vast it was. I'll have to go back to that. But yeah. I mean, if they could do it in Prime 3, I'm sure they could do it in Prime 4. DW for Smash. When do you think we'll see something from Metroid Prime 4? Thank you so much for the super chat. Super appreciated, buddy. So, again, I don't know, right? So I don't want to pretend like I know what's going to happen. But I'll say the easy answer is the earliest possible would be this June. I think signs are pointing to a direct of some kind this June, given that we only know about games leading up to July. Nintendo needs to give us more information about August or December. Well, not now, but like in a couple months. Like after Tears of the Kingdom. Like June. In June, basically. So yes, I think that there's an opportunity for them to reveal it there. But it kind of comes down to, I mean, it's a tricky situation, because I think there's a few different factors here. There's the Metroid Prime 2 and 3 situation. They're rumored to come. How is Nintendo going to reveal those? Are they going to be greatly remastered, or are they going to be more like upscales, like Skyward Sword HD or something? And do they get shadow dropped? Do they come out this year? Do they come together? Do they come separately? Are they announced with Metroid Prime 4, or does Nintendo bring these out before showing off Prime 4? Do they even happen? That's another possibility. Some people think that maybe Prime remasters meant like an appetizer this year, and then Prime 4 comes out at the end of this year. So, if Prime 4 is coming out this year, it will 100% be revealed in a June Direct. That's what I believe. But that's only if it's coming out this year. And I do not believe it is coming out this year. So, when do we see the game? And that's where it gets tricky. Because I believe that there's a new Nintendo system coming out really soon. And I think that Prime 4 will still come out for Switch, but it will be a cross-gen title, so it'll be available for both systems. And given that, they may hold off on showing it off until they show off the next system. So then, it's kind of like those. There's three schools of thought, right? There's the one school of thought is that it's coming out this year, and if that's the case, then they show it off at E3. The other school of thought is that it's not coming out this year, and by the time it does come out, it's so close to release to the next system that they may not reveal it until they reveal the next system. Like it's kind of like part of the game they use to showcase the next system, which makes a lot of sense because Prime 4 is gonna be an impressive looking game. So definitely, it'll still come to Switch. Do not worry, it'll still look and run well. Look at how good Prime Remaster runs on Switch. Prime 4 is gonna look good. It's gonna play well. Don't be worried about that. But they still may use it to hype up the next system is the main point. So that's another avenue. They may wait for that, and then the question is, when does that happen? Do they reveal the next system this year, or do they wait till next year? I think we don't see the next system until next year, because if it's not coming out next year, why even bother revealing it this year? Some people may argue, well, that's how they handled the Switch. Wouldn't they do the same thing? And, well, there's a huge difference. The Switch is a super successful system. The Wii U was not. There was no reason for Nintendo to not show off the Switch before the holidays back in 2016, because they had no Wii U's to really sell. They didn't really ruin their holiday sales at all by revealing the system. However, if they reveal the system before this holiday, where people will still likely be buying Switches, that would impact things a bit. So I think they might not do that. Also, the report from the K is that it's going to come out mid-2024, supposedly. So that would be, June. In which case, I don't think you reveal it like in October. That's just too early. I think Nintendo's actually gotten really comfortable with having very short reveal announcement to release windows, even with their system. So I wouldn't be shocked if the window between the Switch 2 reveal and its release is even shorter than the one for Switch. So the one for Switch was between October and March. So that's less than half a year, right? It's like almost 4 months, like 5 months or something. 4.5. When was the Switch reveal trailer? Switch first look. Let me look at the release date. October 20th. So Switch was teased or announced October 20th, 2016, and came out March 3rd, 2017, which, yeah, 4.5 months. Anyway, so, it's just really tricky because it depends on the timing of that. Now, so that's the second school of thought, that Prime 4 is saved for when they reveal Switch 2, which is kind of hard to predict when that's going to happen, but I'm going to predict that Switch 2 is not announced till next year. But we'll see. That may not be the case. The third school of thought is that, yes, it will be a cross-generation title, but who cares? You can still tease the game before that happens. And it'll just have like a 4K version that comes out with the next system. Doesn't matter, because it's still going to come to Switch anyway, and more people are probably going to buy it on Switch anyway. So, reveal it for Switch. And I honestly, this is the one I prefer. This is the one I prefer the most. Mainly just because the Switch has so many people who own it. I think it makes sense to really get people excited for the Switch version, because it's going to sell the most. Yes, have a better looking running version for Switch 2. Go for it. But that doesn't mean they have to reveal it with the next system. They can still just hype that up later. So if that's the case, I think they do tease Prime 4. They do give us something for Prime 4 this year. That's what I think. But what I'm really looking for right now, because obviously I'm unsure, right? I'm talking about these 3 different possibilities, all of which are possibilities and all semi-reasonable. What I'm waiting for is for June. I think June will be telling as to what to expect, because there's a small possibility Prime 4 is teased in June. That's like the earliest possible date, but it kind of comes down to what they do then, right? Like, so let's say come June, they shadow drop Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. And that's it. They don't talk about anything else. If that's what happens, we can kind of guess what they're going to do, right? At which point, okay, so they shadow drop Metroid Prime 2 in June. All right, so then in September, when they usually have their third direct of the year, they will probably shadow drop Prime 3 and maybe still not mention Prime 4. But at that point, it's kind of setting up for maybe a February direct or an early year event where they announce Switch 2 maybe in March or February to come out 3 or 4 months down the road, and that's when they reveal Prime 4, and it's showing off early 2024. That's kind of an avenue I could see, but that's assuming Prime 2 is shadow dropped this June, right? We'll kind of see how things play out there, but that's what I'm sort of looking to see. I think June we'll have a better idea of where Nintendo's headed, where their plan is. If Prime 4 is a this year game, a next year game, this Switch 2 is getting announced sooner or later. So that's what I'm kind of I have my eyes on for later this year. So I see I have another super chat here from Natsu. Natsu, thank you very much for the super chat. Natsu brings up no game related questions. So favorite fruit. Anything other than mango will not be accepted as an answer. Okay. Then shall I just not respond? I do like mango. Mango is a great fruit. If I had to tell you what my favorite fruit is, I mean, the real answer is that I don't really think about favorite fruit. But if I were to tell you the fruit that I probably eat the most, well, technically, the fruit I probably eat the most is tomato, just because it's kind of used in a lot of food for cooking. Or those peppers are technically fruits, so they all have seeds, right? Like these are all cooking ingredients. But in terms of like more of a traditional fruit, like a mango, apple, peach, pear, big apple guy. I love having apples. I love chopping them, having them with peanut butter. One of my favorite healthy snacks. I have a lot of non-healthy snacks. Don't worry. I was just talking about having a cinnamon roll, and I've been sipping on Pepsi throughout the stream. So I'm not afraid to have sugary delights. Like I'm all about it. So I exercise. And I do drink a decent amount of. Well, I probably should drink more water, but I'm not that unhealthy, I think. Mango is delicious, though. I do enjoy mango. Louis Expandapara. I know this is out of topic, but it'd be cool if we get someday Mega Man Legends with the Zelda Breath of the Wild art style and open world. That would be very interesting, and I don't know if I would get it, but I would have to see more on. It would definitely catch my attention. Squid in 64. Oh, you know what? Jesus. I completely forgot. No, that's my fault. I was gonna bring on Samuel, and I completely forgot. This is completely forgot. It's because my notifications were off, and I didn't see a response. Let me see if I can bring him on. I will wait a moment. I can still do a 20-minute segment with Samuel. That's my bad. I'll leave it open like this. That way I can see if he's still available. I got caught up. Got caught up with the speculation. Alright, so Squid on Atomy. Perhaps Prime 4 will have trailers. We'll have 2 trailers each at the drop of remastered Prime 2 and Prime 3 and a market campaign starting 2024. I wonder if a Metroid Prime Hunters could be remastered also. I'm gonna say probably not Hunters. I think Hunters is so old. Well, it's not technically it's newer than some of the Prime games, but it's on such dated hardware or weak hardware of the DS, and it's also not really. It's not considered to be as good. Because it wasn't even made by Retro Studios. It's a spin-off. But it was a first-person shooter on the DS, which at the time was a very challenging thing to accomplish and do. So I don't expect that, but I will say this. I think that it would be really nice if we started seeing some Metroid spin-offs. I'm not against Metroid spin-offs. I think Metroid spin-offs are great. I just think Metroid spin-offs are great when they're not made by the main Metroid teams, and they come when we're also getting proper Metroid games. So I'm all about a spin-off. You want You want to get another team to make a quality Metroid Hunters game and use like that remastered engine. Yeah, do it. That would be sick. Like, make a brand new Hunters game. Go for it. I'm all about that. That would be really cool. I think they could be a really good game, actually. Like, make it like they just like basically make it like a Metroid, you know, kind of like a hero shooter, but Metroid themed. That'd be cool. Now, another idea that I think would be good is Federation Force is actually also a good idea, just not the art style. And also, it shouldn't have been on the 3DS. Like, the idea of online cooperative missions and exploration, that's awesome. What if you combine both those ideas to one significant Metroid kind of multiplayer extravaganza, right? Like, it's a spin-off thing, but it's a kind of a thing. Maybe it is called, like, maybe they combine the names. What if it's called like Metroid Federation? Ooh. All right, here's a cool idea. You ready for this? All right, check this out. Okay, so it's a little multifaceted. So this actually is probably it's actually a dumb idea, but at the same time I think it isn't. The name's probably bad, but just hear me out here, all right? Stick with me. So there's a theory for the sequel to Metroid Dread, Metroid 6, right? And the theory is basically that the Federation that works with Samus is going to start to target Samus because she's become super powerful and they're at odds. So they become a threat. But then you also have other bounty hunters out there, other hunters, and they are also threats, right? So, you have the hunters from Metroid Prime Hunters, and you have the Federation troopers from Federation Force. Federation Force is like a cooperative multiplayer game. Hunters is a, you know, it's a deathmatch kind of shooter game, right? Like, so cooperative play, competitive multiplayer. Create a Metroid game that's both. So you have the cooperative play, you have the multiplayer. Like, that's what it's about. It's a multiplayer centric spin-off. It's not made by Retro Studios. It's not made by Mercury Steam. So you still have Retro Studios making the Metroid Prime games. You still have Mercury Steam making the Metroid Dread games. It's a separate studio, separate line of Metroid game. But it's called Metroid Prime Federation vs. Hunter. So the idea is you have the Federation. You can still have those cooperative play missions, but you also could have hunters that have their own missions, and it's all centered around this idea of them fighting each other. And then there's multiplayer, and then you can have multiplayer battles, you can have cooperative missions, and it's kind of like this amazing multiplayer Metroid experience called Metroid Prime Federation vs. Hunter, combining Metroid Prime Hunters, combining Metroid Prime Federation Force into one cool, epic multiplayer experience. And it would be a separate release that allows them to make an ideal multiplayer Metroid game. And I think that would make more sense than shoehorning in multiplayer into Metroid Prime, which is more about a single player adventure, like an ideal version of that. So I think as a third kind of like if they get a third studio to make that kind of Metroid game, that would probably be the best way to go about it. And then, you know, maybe over time, like I'm not saying Metroid has to be an annual thing, because I know some people don't like the idea of being annual, but it could be a regular franchise that we see with some regularity. But the games we get are all very different. Like Metroid Dread is different from Metroid Prime, right? And when we're talking about here being cooperative play and multiplayer is different from that as well. So there could be unique stuff there. All right, so I'm going to bring on Sammy on for a few minutes here, for like the next 15-ish minutes. I said I would do that. I forgot, so it's kind of my bad for bringing him on this late. Next time I'll leave my Discord open so I can see. Alright, here we go. Calling in Samuel. Let me know if you can hear me. I can't hear you yet. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get back right away.
No, it's okay. It's actually my fault because I had my Discord shut off and I got distracted.
Yeah, I do that pretty often too. I shut notifications off because otherwise servers, every single message pops up. It gets annoying.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. So, was there anything you wanted to kind of like touch on, or you just want to kind of like tag along while I go through these different ideas in the chat?
What I was thinking about talking about was definitely Zelda, but also Metroid Prime 2 and 3,
Okay.
and maybe Xenoblade 3 DLC.
All right, let's go.
So I just wanted to throw some crazy ideas out there for Zelda that are probably not going to be a thing, but I just thought about them. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Okay.
So, like you were saying before, obviously the Sky Islands are going to go super high. What if you make it to the Blood Moon, and maybe that's where, like, let's say maybe Ganondorf isn't underground. Maybe that's where he rules, but maybe that's not where you fight him. Maybe you fight him in the Blood Moon, and you have to ascend the Sky Islands and overcome these.
You're going to space to the Blood Moon. I freaking love it. It is brilliant. I'm sorry. It completed the theory, right? I don't know if you were watching earlier, but we had the theory that we're going up to the sky. Maybe we can build a ship. It's gonna get close to space. Maybe gravity changes.
Yeah, the rocket ship.
Oh, this is freaking perfect. I don't know if I believe it, but damn, it fits. It freaking fits. Oh
I've
man!
just been picturing this game in my mind.
There is the makings of a space Tears of the Kingdom theory here. It's got all the pieces. It's got stupidity and fun and some semblance of reality all in one. Oh man, I'm sorry. It's just a brilliant connection there, like that.
Because think about like in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, you spend the whole game trying to get the origin, and isn't the Blood Moon kind of similar to that? Because Origin's the source of
what is it? What is it with the moon? Yeah, what is it with the moon? Like, why is it the Blood Moon is this opportunity for Ganon and his forces to be stronger than ever before? Like, what? Like, I get that it happens, and it's kind of like, you know how like it's kind of like demons. Like, demons are supposedly stronger during the Blood Moon or the lunar eclipse or something in real life, right? Like, there's like that fairy tale or folklore or whatever. So, I mean, obviously it's from that idea to some extent, but what if there's like an in-lore reason to explain that? I love it. Let's just blow up the moon. Build a bomb.
Right. Death Star.
Yeah, I mean that would be a bad idea. It would be a bad idea to blow up the moon because you need the moon. But what if though? What if?
Yeah, and this game's just got me. I'm like picturing how large the game is going to be in my mind. It's crazy because the underground's going to be at least like a quarter of what the overworld is, right?
Maybe
because that looks like a pretty underground. I mean, I doubt it'll be a pretty large area of the overworld, but I underestimate how big Breath of the Wild is.
Yeah. I want to check out the super chat here from Brian Doe. So Brian Doe says, let's check it out. It says Brian Doe says the intro cutscene in Skyward Sword featuring the Breach of Demise has a bunch of things that remind me of what we've seen from Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because and thank you very much for the super chat. But I think it's a great what you bring up. We're like making connections. There's connections happening right now. It is 10:52. I should be tired. I should be done.
Yeah.
I should be like, all right, guys, gotta wrap up the stream. Thanks for coming by. But right now, the theorizing has me hyped. So, and also probably the Pepsi.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people that likes the marketing that Nintendo has provided for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Also,
I think.
So go on.
Yeah, I think the drip feed of information is making excitement more.
Yeah.
like if we excuse the leak, their marketing has been pretty good. I mean, I think there's going to be another big trailer in, April probably,
Yeah.
or no, before PAX.
Ooh, yeah, probably.
Because I don't think they're going to use that to show off Pikmin, because then they would have been at E3.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely reason to think that something's happening at PAX. I think so.
Yeah.
But anyway, with what Brian Doe brought up, I like the idea that you bring up with Skyward Sword, because there could be a lot going on there. Like, we see this underworld potentially, this blood moon. There's definitely a lot of things that sort of relate Ganondorf to the Demon King demise. Like, there's a connection there. So I definitely think there's something interesting to that. That definitely kind of like.
Here's another thing.
There may be something there.
Connecting to that, you know how Nintendo said they didn't want to provide the title because it's a spoiler or whatever, and we saw the title, we're like, oh, this isn't a spoiler. What if it's not the title that's a spoiler, but it's the logo, the Ouroboros?
Yeah.
Signifying like full circle. So, you might be onto something there. Because this is probably strongest Ganondorf's been.
Yeah. So maybe the idea is that it's kind of like sort of showing us something kind of like what so in Skyward Sword, the legend, the demon forces, the Demon King, kind of like what we're seeing of Ganondorf and his forces now are very comparable to that. Maybe.
Right, like Ganondorf in any other game probably wouldn't hold a candle to like Hylia's army. Only Demise could. But now maybe Ganondorf could.
Yeah, there could be something to that. Also, I missed this super chat from earlier. Taker610 provided a super chat. Thank you, Taker. This is not actually a spoiler, so this is a joke. So don't worry, guys, when I read it out loud. But Taker610 says, biggest shock from leak is the Rocketeer suit. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We got an astronaut costume. We're going to space. There's nothing like that in the leak, but my goodness, if I saw that in the leak, okay, all right, I'll tell you this. Some of you guys have asked, did the leaks do anything to increase my hype? And well, I'm not gonna say anything to create any spoilers. And my honest answer is no, right? But if there was a Rocketeer suit, I would have been freaking out, because it would be confirming this. At first I thought it was a dumb idea to go to space, but now the more we talk about it, the more sense it kind of makes to me. Like it's almost like I'm willing it into existence, because like you think about what Brian Doe said about how the intro scene of Skyward Sword does seem to kind of give us some ideas, right? Like I definitely sort of see, like it definitely starts to kind of connect Skyward Sword, and it does kind of feel like Ganondorf and his army and this potential underworld are all sort of linking. Like it does kind of feel that way, and maybe it is kind of like an Ouroboros thing where it's almost like a cycle, to your point, Samuel, where like we're seeing kind of like the return of the Demon King and his forces, just like before Skyward Sword even happened. But you have these Demon King forces, you have how strong they are, but then you also have this moon, this blood moon, and it's this why is this power coming from this blood moon, right? Which kind of connects to all being demon related. But what's interesting about it is that we go so far up high into the sky, which encompasses potentially something with the goddess and how the goddess battled the Demon King and his forces from way long ago. But we're going further and further, higher and up, and there's this technology, and then we take a look at some of the art and some of the ideas for Breath of the Wild, the Sheikah, and how they were very alien-like, and there's even saucers, potentially elements from space, maybe ancient aliens. So there's these different things, these different layers. And if we're talking about an Ouroboros, or something like an Ouroboros, where there's a new cycle, it kind of also goes back to the beginning. What happened in the beginning? How did things come the way they were? Maybe the moon has something to do with the power of the demon forces, and it kind of all comes full circle. And who knows? Maybe we do go to the moon. Maybe the final boss is in the moon. We go to space. That's it. The goal in Tears of the Kingdom is to get to space. That's the mission.
Yeah, that would be great. I've always thought, like, ever since they revealed the Sky Islands, oh, how cool would it be if our goal is at the top of there, and we just got to climb our way up, and we see Hyrule down below, and I think this game's gonna make Breath of the Wild unplayable. That's how good I think it's gonna be. And that's what it should do. It should just blow Breath of the Wild out of the water.
I hear what you're saying. I don't. It's kind of one of the reasons why, like, when we talked about earlier how I don't think that we'll be able to go to the final boss right from the beginning, because the very I think that should maybe stick to Breath of the Wild, right? Like, I think there should be some things about Breath of the Wild that should stay unique, and maybe that should be one of them. But there's still a lot of other ways.
If this is a more story
centric, yeah.
Yeah, because how Breath of the Wild's story worked was it already happened. So
yeah.
Here, this is in the present for sure.
Yeah.
If they find some way to put in memories again, I'll never forgive them.
I hope not. Not a lot, at least. I mean, I'm okay with there being memories, but I don't want that to be the main way to learn the story. As a side thing, sure.
It made sense in Breath of the Wild because this is a calamity that already happened, and you're investigating the aftermath. But
yeah,
and I could still see there being some memories in Tears of the Kingdom of, you know, just different stuff that happened to the champions, and that would be fine. But there's going to be a story in the present.
You learn about the past of other characters, but I feel like as Link, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, because there's no excuse now because he doesn't have amnesia anymore. So.
Yeah. S.J. Atkins, how much have they confirmed about the underground? I mean, they've really only hinted through footage, right?
Yeah, but there's like, you know, stuff. There's fungal stuff. There's a tunnel where you're running from a Hinox where there's roots and plants and stuff.
We see underground caves. We see that one shot where the Bokoblin is mining next to the Lizalfos that are all consumed by malice. You see stalactites in the background. You see those blue-like flames that look like souls. You see giant mushrooms. It's definitely a giant, large, cavernous area with malice, and these enemies have a different kind of malice on them. It kind of does. It does support the idea of an underworld potentially. So I'm not 100% on that idea, but like maybe. So you know, you have that. The very first trailer is entirely underground, and if you ask me, because of how open Breath of the Wild is, we assume Tears of the Kingdom will also be as open. You can basically go everywhere you were able to go to. Like, is there anything from any cutscene in Breath of the Wild you can't revisit in some way?
No.
Like, you could argue maybe Castletown because it's destroyed, but you can still go to Castletown. It's just destroyed, right? But you can still go there physically. So every area in the sequel trailer, I assume you could also go to at some point in Tears of the Kingdom. So, you know.
That's the direction they're going.
Right. So basically,
this game's obviously going to be very exploration based as well.
Right. Anyways, the point is that there's a lot of these underground areas that, if they're showing them, we're going to be able to explore them at some point. So they've shown off at this point several underground areas. There is an underground. There's probably going to be more. So, yeah, underground is confirmed.
I'm crossing my fingers for underwater exploration.
Yep, me too.
Because if they did that, there'd be nothing you couldn't explore. It would be the ultimate game.
The final frontier is space, but we'll get to that. Maybe not tonight. I mean, we've touched on it a lot already. All right, so there's another super chat here from Brian Doe. Thank you very much for the super chat, Brian. It's super, super, super appreciated. You have floating platforms, sky islands with pillar enemies with swords in their heads and more. Could Tears of the Kingdom actually be the breach of demise? Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
demise like the villain.
I don't actually think so. But I mean, there is a lot of similarities, so maybe. I mean, I understand the thinking, because you have the Ouroboros. Maybe it's the end of the cycle. It's the last game down the history, and there's all these similarities there. I mean, it could be, like, it honestly could be.
The big thing against the big evidence against Demise's return is it's implied that he's just rotted away in the Master Sword for, it's been probably tens of thousands of years since Skyward Sword, at least. So
yeah, no, Demise is gone, but his spirit of hatred lives on through Ganondorf. So you can argue that Demise and Ganondorf are like the same thing, kind of. Like, I mean, it's like
yeah,
saying,
I mean, they're both evil. Hylia is pure good. Ganondorf and Demise are pure evil.
And Link
it could be debated.
Link
I mean, like
bad.
Wind Waker, Ganondorf isn't. He doesn't seem true evil, right? He's just kind of a broken man. But
yeah,
I'm playing through the whole timeline right now, like chronologically. It's kind of a challenge getting through it all before Tears of the Kingdom, but it's great.
Yes. Joycey J says, I think Andres Restart has convinced me. I want to see a Space Zelda game. It's coming. Space Zelda. And you want to know what's funny, though? If for someone who hasn't played Metroid before, the way I would describe Metroid is Space Zelda. So Tears of the Kingdom is actually Metroid Prime 4. That's the ultimate theory. That's it right there. Tears of the Kingdom is Metroid Prime 4. Take that.
Yeah, it's like I was excited before this direct. I was very excited, but after hearing Ganondorf's voice and Zelda says, "Oh, I don't think you could stop him," and then the music plays, I'm like, oh man. I know it was kind of mixed reviews, but I loved the trailer. It was great. And I actually don't mind his voice either. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm okay with the voice too. Dr. Kokiri adds me and says, actually, Demise's spirit is slowly decaying inside the Master Sword. Yes, but it's been so long, wouldn't we assume that Demise is totally gone already? So, also, Demise does curse the lineage of Link and Zelda to be followed by his hatred for generations forevermore, right? 10,000 noodles. Isn't Space Zelda just OG Star Wars? Yep. There we go. So, Space Zelda, Star Wars, Metroid Prime, they're all connected. They're all connected. It really just takes us back to Pong. Pong is the original Legend of Zelda. Okay, I'm really just like I'm just joking, That said, this Space Zelda theory, as dumb as it might sound, I don't know. There might be something there.
It's possible, because you go up pretty high.
You go up really high, yeah.
And you know how they are with the implementing physics stuff and Breath of the Wild, so
yeah, maybe.
Adding low gravity really high up and combined with your hovercraft and stuff, it'd be great.
Yeah, man,
I just really want to go to the Blood Moon.
That would be neat. It would be neat. Could be the Pepsi talking, Joycey. You may be right. You may be right. Well, let's see. How long have we been streaming for? Because I did come in a little late. About 2.5 hours. I think that's pretty solid. I will leave it open. Last 5 minutes. Final questions. Sam, is there anything you want to kind of talk about? I know I didn't have you on for as long tonight because I forgot. But is there anything you want to kind of talk about before I close things out?
When do you think Wave 4 Xenoblade 3 DLC releases?
Good question. I'm going to assume.
Month.
Give me a. Oh, you want me to give you a month? Okay. Give me a second. I want to like look up some things, see if I can, you know, kind of pinpoint better. Let's see.
Yeah, I think Torna came out in September.
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
So.
And they announced it. They gave a big trailer for it at E3, right?
Yeah. I want to look up Wave 4 in the eShop. They usually have like a due date. You know what I mean? I think it's just the end of the year.
I think for this one they have December. Yeah.
It's probably just that. I'm just double checking though. Let's see.
Yeah, I was expecting the DLC to be good, but like,
yo,
I didn't think it was going to be this.
It has Chatosaurus Rex. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm letting my cat while I check this real quick here. Let's see.
Yeah, like, you know,
Yeah,
I've been
the end of the year.
Reading up on the lore and stuff. Like, I knew Shulk and Rex were still alive, but I didn't think they'd actually be featured again. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of hinted it to us because they showed all 3 blades, so it makes sense. But you know, seeing them in their adult forms is super super cool, for sure. Now, yeah, if you want me to give you a date, I mean, yeah, the tournament came out what, September?
Yeah.
Well, I guess what would be important to look up is Tournament of the Golden Country came out September. But what were the release dates? Xenoblade 2 expansion pass release dates.
Oh yeah, compared to past waves.
Exactly. Like, how do they compare?
Yeah, like how many months out was it from the past wave?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can see the waves on here. It doesn't show me. It doesn't tell me here. I'm sure I can find it. I just can't find it right this second. Let me see here. This is old article. It probably won't give me all the dates. No, yeah, it's not. Wait, hold on. Alright, so, okay, alright, cool. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the first pack released, you know, December, so that doesn't count. Second pack, that's 1B, doesn't count. Second pack 2A came out in January. Okay, it's kind of done. Alright, 3 came out April. Alright, so... And then Wave 3 for us just came out now, right? It's now available? Wave 3?
Yeah, like the 25th, right? Something like that. I haven't gotten the expansion pass yet. I'm waiting to get it when Wave 4 comes out.
No. Yeah, same, actually. Because that's the one I care about. Xenoblade 3 Wave 3 release.
Yeah, I mean, Wave 3 looks cool with like the...
It's already available.
What is it, like a...
So you could argue that
challenge mode?
You could argue that Wave 4 is sort of set up to come out even sooner than September. It could be like a summer release. So I don't want to put it in July, but maybe could come out July.
I think we'll definitely
I'm gonna say August.
Get information in it in June, because I think there will be a direct in June.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I mean, even though there might not be a lot of new games to show, There's
Yeah.
going to be DLC, but I think there's a good chance of like maybe a Donkey Kong game or F-Zero or
Yeah.
just all those rumored games that have been rumored for a long time. I think they're all going to come out now.
Yeah. Yeah.
For everybody saying that 2023 is going to be a slow year for Switch, I mean, it's pretty good so far. This is a great start to the year.
It is. Well, I think it's gonna be a good year for Nintendo fans. Yeah. No, Squidden. Ruby is a dog. She's just a cat-shaped dog. Right? No, you would prefer to be a cat. That's okay. You can stay a cat. She's a cat with dog-like qualities. She likes to play catch, and she's very loving, and she actually likes people. And yeah, she's a cool cat. I like her. That's why I got her.
Now, if they give, I think Prime 2 and Prime 3 are coming regardless, but if they give them the remastered treatment, now this will be like one of the best years of Switch.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna set myself up for disappointment, so I'm not gonna expect that. But it's definitely a good consideration. I'm expecting like
it's if they started development on 2 right when they finished with 1, like they could have 3 out by the end of summer. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I'd love for it to happen. Most likely they're getting Skyward Sword treatment, and that's it. But
yeah.
I have
Sean Castle Singer added me. Are you going to stream Tears of the Kingdom when it comes out? Yeah. I don't know, because I don't really stream often, so that's tough. I'll tell you what. I still don't know. It's gonna be a game time decision. There's a lot of factors. I think part of the issue for me is that my stream setup right now I don't think is ideal for playing a game for my personal max enjoyment. Cause there's several. Well, okay, one, I did get a 60 FPS capture card, right? So I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter for Zelda, but I guess what I mean is that like, part of me is that when I stream, I want it to be, if people are watching, I'll try and make it high quality for them, but also like if it's my own personal experience, I don't want to be distracted by the chat, right? Like I love talking to you guys, but like when I'm talking to you guys, I want to focus, right? So if I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom for the very first time, that's where it gets kind of tricky for me. Now, if you guys are okay with me playing Tears of the Kingdom and talking to you guys a little bit less, like I'll still talk, I'll still check, but like if it's a cutscene, I'm gonna be like totally focused on the cutscene, and I'll just check the chat occasionally. So I don't know. Like for example, streaming Metroid Prime is okay because I've played through Metroid Prime several times. You know what I mean? If it's a game I've already played, not as big of a deal. But if it's a game I have never played before, it's a very different experience. So I'm honestly not sure if I'll stream it or not. Apparently Nintendo Prime will.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, maybe what I can
He's a
do...
big Zelda guy. I would have thought he wanted to experience it by himself.
A Let's Play. That would be a long Let's Play.
Oh, yeah. I'm expecting it to be like double the length of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Maybe what I'll experiment with is that I'll maybe... an experiment. I'm not saying I'm going to do it all the time. But maybe I'll start experimenting with starting more game streams a little bit more often. I streamed Metroid Prime once the other day, and it did okay. It was alright. I actually had fun. So maybe what I'll do, I'm not gonna start doing Twitch. Like I don't know. Like I just don't see how that'll be worthwhile for me. But maybe what I can do is just stream. I'm not going to promise anything, but maybe I'll start. Maybe at some point it could come down to like one game stream a week, or maybe it just happens when a big game comes out. But yeah, I'll maybe try a few more game streams between now and then, see how people like it. Here's a good point. If I go to PAX, which I think I'm going to go, fingers crossed, and Tears of the Kingdom is there, and I get footage, and I show you guys that video of me playing. If that does well, then that will increase my belief that, okay, maybe I can get away with like showing you guys gameplay, right? Like then you guys will actually care about that. So yeah. Anyway, so what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is maybe I'm gonna do like a Metroid Prime remaster stream again, but this time I'm thinking like with a twist. So maybe I'll put like a timer. I'm like, all right, I'm giving myself 6 hours to beat Metroid Prime Remastered on hard mode. Go, right? Like, can I do that? I think I can. But we'll see, right? And then maybe I'll hype that up, and then maybe I'll start doing some challenges like that, right? Like maybe I'll do one for Master Mode for Breath of the Wild, and a few challenges like that. See how that does. See how I personally enjoy that. If that's cool, then maybe I can do that for Tears of the Kingdom. And maybe what I'll do is that I'll have simply two different files. I'll have my personal file that I'll play, and then I'll have a stream file, and I'll just do both. Maybe I'll start the game on my own, play it for like an hour or so, and once I've kind of gotten like, okay, I've gotten my personal initial experience of the game, my personal private experience, let's jump on, let's go live, and let's just see what happens, you know? So maybe, right? I think there's a window here where I could stream Tears of the Kingdom, maybe Xenoblade. So yeah, I guess the reason why, you know, I bring this up is because I'm trying to make this my job, right? So it's kind of like, how do I spend my time, right? Like if I'm spending too much time streaming and it's not helping me as a job, then it's kind of like, okay, maybe I should just focus on making videos and playing the game on my private time. So, but
well, your past 2,000 subscribers have been pretty quick, right?
Relative, yeah, definitely for beforehand, but you know, I'll always have higher expectations. But I mean, yeah, things have been definitely going in a very positive direction, so definitely happy with that. But yeah, so we'll experiment with some streams. We'll try a Metroid Prime Remaster stream soon. Maybe we'll try out like a Breath of the Wild Master Mode stream soon, and things will work out well. I got a better capture card now, so I think that'll help out. So yeah. So yeah, Sean Adamy. It would be cool to see you do some casual Tears of the Kingdom streams and theorize as you play or something different. I'll give it a whirl. Zilla's Geek Apprentice. What happens to the Wind Waker vs. Twilight Princess comparison? I'm glad you brought that up. It will still happen. It's just so much has happened since that we haven't really had an opportunity to do it. But that day will come. That day will come. Maybe sooner than expected. Maybe I'll see if I can get a few people who side with either one, and it'll work out really well. But yeah, Samuel, is there anything else you want to touch on? I'm probably gonna end things here soon.
Yeah, that was about it.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, thanks for coming on, man. Sorry I took too long to bring you on this time, but moving forward, I'll just leave my Discord app open so I can actually see it, and then it'll work. But you have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, you too. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Nintendo Prime. I appreciate your words, my friend. Zelda's Geek Apprentice. We need the Brandon vs. Andres debate on Twilight Princess vs. Wind Waker. It will happen. It's just been pushed up with everything we've been doing, but it will come. All right, I think I'm going to call it a night, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. If you could like the stream before you leave, that'd be super appreciated. Been a good stream, very fun, I will work on the 2 different Zelda theory videos I said. I will work on them. I have no idea how I'll be able to get out the theory video that the art book leaked for tomorrow. So maybe I'll have something smaller come out tomorrow. That way I can do a more comprehensive, better video for this, and maybe that comes out Saturday. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, talk to you soon. Have a good night. Bye.